They're going to be exiting the tournament.
Yeah, he's going out quite quickly.
As a Claymore goes down.
This is possibly the biggest upset we've ever had in the tournament.
Particularly good trade.
Starting to go down now, but too little, too late.
The Sleipnir is MJTing himself out of the arena.
Yeah, as the Hugin goes down.
He just got volleyed through that.
They're just ripping them to shreds right now.
Starfleet is down.
Here you will find the bedraggled, good-for-nothing masses of Capsuleers, all vying for a chance to be taken seriously. Here you will find organisations that couldn't rub together more ISK than your average faction warfare corporation. You will find pilots who, when faced with adversity and true challenge, will likely turn and run faster than the big blue donut. You will find the hordes of F1 button-mashing pilots whose idea of PvP is nothing but being a minion who worships false gods they call their leaders. Not to mention those who don't feel comfortable unless they're in the biggest ships surrounded by 1,000 of their friends. Groups that think they're actually good at combat, yet howl around in packs that only pick on the weak, oppressed, and vulnerable. Which piece of trash would bubble to the top of this steaming cauldron of mediocrity? This is the Alliance Tournament
Open Practice.
And here we are once again, week number 4 of the Alliance Tournament Open Practices. I believe that I'm joined here today by Jintan, Brett Thomas, Wingnut, who I think is here. Wingnut, are you here? Ooh, awkward. Awesome. Well, we got lots of cool guys. I have a pirate hat today, which is super exciting. I have usurped Ithaca for at least another weekend, and we have a couple super fun matches coming up today. We have different teams, we have different bands, we have literally Triggered versus a Band Apart coming up really, really soon here, so I'm not going to talk too much as they will be warping in quite quickly here. I think we have seen all of these teams except for maybe a Band Apart in the Opens so far. Literally Triggered doing incredibly well during the Alliance Opens. Jintan, since I know you are here since you were talking like 10 seconds ago, tell me some things. Tell me cool stuff. Are you happy to be here?
Yeah, I'm really happy to be here, and it's great to see a Band Apart. Obviously, they're a team with a lot of tournament pedigree. They've been a kind of a perennial mid-tier sort of team with a few, ventures into the upper brackets over the years. And literally Triggered have been playing incredibly well. I can't quite remember where they have ranked on our sort of open practices standings, but they've racked up quite the number of points over these past number of practices. So real scrim kings over there. It's just going to be a question now of, does that translate into the real AT?
Absolutely. And we do have a different set of bands today than last weekend. Unfortunately, Nighthawks and Sleipnirs are both unbanned, so we will be seeing them, but maybe not in this first match, which I think we're actually just going to switch straight into it right now. And let's see, Brett, are you here right now?
I am here.
Excellent. I think you and Jen are going to be talking about this one and commentating it. So let's swap on over to the screen as the teams have both landed, and let's get started talking about what they brought.
All right, well, I'm here in the arena with Brett Thomas, and as you can see, literally Triggered have brought a really interesting armor control team here with Fleet Tempest, Armageddon, Guardian, Sacrilege, Oracle, Stabber Fleet Issue, Pontifex, Confessor, Vengeance, and Skybreaker, taking 10 separate different ships. What have a Band Apart brought here, Brett Thomas?
A Band Apart have brought one of my favourite comps, which is Smoke Blasters. They've brought a Balgorn, double Navy Megas, Magus, Arbitrator, 2 Deacons for reps, Sentinels, and 2 Vengeances for tackles. So they've got the Balgorn for control. I don't know if that's got any guns on it. Let me check right now. It has got guns. So it's guns, webs, and control, and they've got 2 Mega Navies to just pile on the DPS.
Yeah, so the opening plays here are going to be really interesting because this Blaster Rush team wants to get on top of Literally Triggered, and they have a lot of control to do that with those Balgorns, and those Navy Megas are probably going to have grapples. So it's going to be a question of, what does JA in the Armageddon prioritize here? What does he go for with his newts, and how much counter control can he apply? There you go. You can see newts from the Balgorn landing on him. They're probably deep in fall-off, so they're not going to be quite as effective as his own counter newts. It looks like he's putting them all on Smudge 245. So he's going to kind of go for the aggressive control here in the attack. What's this going to change for a Band Apart's game plan, if anything? Or is this what they want?
Well, the big thing about Abanda Port right now is the Megas are finally getting on top of that Tempest. They've been applying damage to it and they're pushing forward. No, sorry, they're applying damage to the Armageddon. I was looking at the wrong thing they were shooting. They're finally pushing forward. This Armageddon's going to be a real struggle for these blasters because if that manages to keep the newts on for long enough and keep the newts on the Deacons for long enough, the Megas and the Deacons aren't going to be able to do much. But they're pushing forward right through the middle of the team. And this
Look at that
Tempest,
Sentinel of Verdus. He's in 3/4 armor there. He needs to be very, very careful with his positioning here. It looks like he is, in fact... Oh, no, he's not tackled down. He's not tackled down. He should be fine here.
yeah, by the looks of it, one of the Deacons is scram webbed down. Latana Gray is scram webbed down in the Deacon and is jammed as well. So unfortunately, they're shooting the one they've got tackled down, and they're not keeping everything alive because these Deacons are struggling to keep each other alive. Never mind the Megathon that's in half armor.
Yeah, this is really difficult here for ABBA. They've got a Megathon Navy there in half armor and a Vengeance sitting at about 20% armor as well. And his ADC is about to run out here. They're going to have to make a decision as what they want to keep alive, especially with that Deacon now going into half armor. This is so much pressure being put on by Literally Triggered.
A huge thing now is you're going to start seeing this Armageddon start to lose a lot of EHP because the Megas and Balgons have finally got into range. They finally ran down that Armageddon. It ran to 50, 60 kilometers away, and they finally caught it. But that being said, Latana Gray and the Deacon and the Sentinel is going down. It looks like they're going to trade all their small stuff for this big stuff. But unfortunately, they've been too close and aren't tracking this Geddon anymore.
Yeah, amazing stuff there by the CEO's CEO, just single-handedly soloing off that Sentinel in the backline. Watson Crick now in low armor here. The Megathon Navy, if that goes down, that's so much DPS off the field. This is going to potentially be really, really bad for Abanda Part. If he goes down, there's very little chance they have back in this match.
Yeah, they've been a little bit too close, and you're actually seeing some great piloting of the sacrileges, burning in and bumping the Navy Megas so they don't track as well, and this Geddon survives for longer.
That's that second Deacon down.
That being said, they have swapped and are now shooting the Tempest. Maybe they can try and break the Tempest in this situation. What do you think?
I know it's going to be really, really difficult here. They do have two heavy DPS battleships left on the field, but you can see how big that Literally Triggered attack bar is just by virtue of how many ships they've got left on the field. And also that Stabber fleet issue does a surprising amount of damage. You're looking at 600, 700 DPS, maybe more than that heated from that thing. And it's so fast that they can apply it to almost any position on the grid. It looks like the Vengeance there might have Takabana might finally go down, making sure that Literally Triggered don't make this a slam dunk. There you go. You can see finally one thing being taken off the board, but this is so late in the match to be taking a victory here.
Yeah, you're seeing a lot of newts go onto Smudge in this Mega Navy. Hopefully he's able to survive and keep his cap high enough, but I doubt he's going to be able to apply any more damage. With a Armageddon and a Tempest, all the heavy newts just going straight on it.
Yeah, it looked like the big problem there was Abanda Part. All of their DPS got very, very spread out as they rushed in to try and take down this Literally Triggered team, and they were able to tackle them apart from their Deacons and just kill them whilst they were sitting deep in Deacon fall-off range. You know, these ships have gone down with very, very little reps being applied to them, and that has allowed this Literally Triggered team with its, it's got a lot of DPS, but it's going to take a while to apply it down to stuff, to just pick this team apart with only one casualty.
Yeah, unfortunately, awkwardly, Abanda Part pushed forward right next to the Tempest for the entire way. They could have, at the very start, realized that the Armageddon was running away. The Tempest was a little bit slower, and just lock that down instead. That might have been an option for them because this Tempest is the thing that's controlling some of the Megas with its grapplers and its webs and not getting shot at all.
Yeah, and this solid individual piloting is something that we've seen as kind of a hallmark of Literally Triggered, because it's not like a band apart or a bad team. This is a lot of experienced pilots that are just getting, kind of dismantled here. Rix Javix has seen many tournaments over the years. It's not like he's not fought against a comp like this before. But they were able to capitalize on one early mistake and just snowball it into a nearly flawless victory here.
Yeah, interestingly enough, Rick's Javix in the Balgorn has managed to push forward and have range on this Guardian. He realizes that the only thing really staying alive is this Guardian. He can apply newts to it and shoot it from the range he is at now. And it looked like for a small amount of time it was going down. But they've now managed to clear the tackle of it and he is no longer tracking.
You can see there, Rick's finally going down. The man in charge, he's been kind of held in the middle for most of this match and just been unable to really do much. You know, the Balgorn newts don't do a huge amount when you're newting out a Balgorn with 3200s injecting into it. And he was too tackled to be able to get anywhere near Parkbank in that Guardian. In fact, we have good fights here finally coming into local, and that's the game. So let's head back to the studio and prepare for the next match.
Pew, 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 pew. Pew, pew, pew.
So the plan is that we execute a star formation with perfect 90-degree angles. You need to heat 2 cycles, not 3, 2. Spipple's web, but the Spipple's web. And we need do we need missiles or is that Spipples? And we need thermal drone.
HiSec Buyback offers 90% JITA anywhere in HiSec. Simply go to hisec.evebuyback.com, appraise your items, create a contract, and get paid quickly.
And with that, the first match is over with Literally Triggered beating Aband apart 100-4. We saw, thankfully, 2 exciting different armor comps right off the bat. Jintan, I kind of want you to talk about the Stabber fleet issue because we've seen Literally Triggered be undefeated running that so far.
Yeah, obviously that's become a little bit of a meme in Twitch chat as well. But it is a surprisingly good ship, and it's seen success in a lot of different formats where you're kind of forced to bring some of those mid-rangey ships. For example, in my tournament, where you had to bring a faction cruiser of some form, that was kind of the consensus best pick. Yeah, it's very versatile. It can fit a relatively good tank. It's relatively fast, and it absolutely shreds frigates. It can do so much DPS to things, even like the Sentinel, that have a very low sig and the ability to defend itself with those newts and those TDs. So you can take out potentially 5 points with a 7-8 point investment. I can't quite remember how much they are right now. And then just let it win, and you can get 3 points of value out of it after that point very easily.
And Brett, so we saw both setups kind of tried to do like an armor newt setup, but there's a lot of a difference between the two. One side brought an Armageddon, one side brought a Balgorn, and I think it was a gun Balgorn, correct?
It was a mix of, it had its 4 guns and then had newts onto it. So it was trying to be a little bit of both, where it can apply DPS and can still apply newts. We're seeing a lot more of the gun bals if people aren't bringing Vindicators, but if people bring Vindicators and kind of neuter their small end, we are seeing just straight up newt Balgorns because you don't need that much DPS when you're bringing a Vindicator.
It was definitely an interesting setup on both sides. I'm wondering if that Armageddon and just being able to send those newts out and control them down, and it just made it so that they couldn't apply DPS. But we did see very, very good tackling on the side of Literally Triggered. I think that they were able to, like you guys called out, they held off the entire battleship setup from getting on top of that Armageddon for quite a while. And it was interesting because we saw 2 battleships versus 3, and with points, that 3 battleships, that's a pretty heavy commitment on the top end, isn't it?
Yeah, especially when some of these are, in fact, the faction battleships instead of some of the less expensive just plain battleships. Some of the faction battleships can bump you up a lot of points and make you have to make some serious sacrifices in the small end. So it means so that you've got to bring logistics frigates instead of a cruiser. You've got to drop down your controls, so there's only a single arbitrator and say some tackle frigates. That's about it. That's maybe all you can bring.
And I think this match was actually a really excellent example of what you're talking about there as well. Because as the Navy Mega team got spread out, as they started to get capped out by the control of the literally triggered team, that was what caused them to break so easily to the relatively minimal DPS that literally triggered were applying.
Well, that's
One thing as
super
well is
cool. Well, we
Sorry.
I was gonna say hi. Wingnut's here now.
Hi.
He was currently, I believe he was getting coffee when I said hello, Wingnut, are you here? And apparently he ran all the way back. But
Now I'm wearing
Wingnut's
coffee,
here,
yes.
and yes, he's wearing coffee, and the Baza is here.
Hello.
So who I totally forgot to intro because I was spaced out, distracted by Wingnut throwing me off. So it is good to hear you both here. You will be giving us super exciting and high tier commentary in the next match, which is going to be Of Sound Mind versus the Ancients. And I think Of Sound Mind, they've been around for a very long time, but I personally haven't heard of the Ancients. Do either of you really know who that is?
The Ancients are kind of were quite involved with the NPSI community, I remember. I don't know if that's changed. I know they went to do some more nullsec stuff right around as I was sort of inactive in the game. But I remember them being quite active in sort of, 10, 20 man, even or below that sort of gate camping stuff. So they definitely have a lot of experience in PvP. It's just going to be a question of how well that translates into tournament effectiveness.
And I believe Sound Mind is in the tournament. I think they bought in, if that's correct. I'm not 100% sure on that.
Yeah, they did.
Awesome.
These teams bought in.
Perfect. Okay, so even though we don't really know who the Ancients are, like in regards to tournament, though we do know who they are on TQ. Apparently, they're confident enough in their abilities to drop the I think what was it? Is about 35 billion was the minimum buy-in, something like that. So we'll see how their confidence is, or how confident they should be after this upcoming match, because everybody knows everyone tries as hard as possible, and the Opens is a perfect example of how good you are as a team. We have a slightly different set of bans this week where I believe, okay, I totally wrote this down on purpose to not mess this up. Yes. All right. Bargus, Curse, Golem, Hyena, Kitsune, Loki, Stormbringer, and Vargur. Baza, do you see anything weird here? Do you see anything that you're expecting to, any comps you're expecting, anything like that?
I think it's a really interesting set of bans. I just really like the format in general of having 8 bans or up to 8 bans from the teams that submit them, because it gives us a really interesting meta where every week it changes and the theory crafters get to come up with new comps and figure out what they want to put in. So, without the Loki and the Hyena, if you want ranged webs, you've either got to cash out points on a Balgorn or cash out points on a Hugin or a Rapier. So, I would expect somewhat to see like Nighthawks and Sleipnirs and Cerberuses and stuff like RJ said in general chat. But possibly not, or it might be suboptimal without the web support from those Lokis and the paints from the Hyena. So, it's possible those comps could actually be not top of the pile this week. And then Barguest gone. Obviously, everyone wants to practice their Barguest comps, but that's not happening this week. Sorry. Kurt's gone. Obviously, strong recon, strong nuke control. Golem as well. So those sort of missile comps with Golems and Barguest cores are ruled out this week. So yeah, I'm excited to see what people bring.
Interesting thing about the bans is the Loki being banned stops what we had last week, which was people bringing the counterfeit shield rush comp. Because without the Lokis and without that shield control, the Ham rush comp doesn't do very well just due to the mitigation of movement. So hopefully we won't see shield rush in the final.
I think we might potentially see a variation on it, which we've seen in previous tournaments, like the ECS, where they, instead of bringing the Loki, they brought stuff like broadswords and onyxes to provide long scrams instead. So you might not see the Nightmare version, but the Sleipnir version is still pretty viable, I think.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think Hicks are somewhat underrated a little bit so far. They've flown under the radar a little bit, but for only 12 points with reasonable DPS, reasonable tankiness, and obviously the huge scram range,
Exactly that.
they
And
can
here's
be
the
pretty
fun
viable.
part. They're actually faster than people think. They're actually surprisingly fast. They can catch a Bargus.
Yeah, I think we've seen broadswords a couple times and onyxes both work, but we'll see if anyone decides to bring those. I believe the teams will be warping in shortly here, so we will be switching over to the match screen as soon as all 20 members, well, assuming both teams bring full 10-man teams. I really hope so, because underman setups are silly and they ruin my fun. But once they do, we'll get to see if the shield rush is happening. We've seen a lot of different variations on it, so we could still see it. I think that most of us are kind of, I don't want to say sick of seeing it because that's not super fair, but it definitely is something that, I'm here to see weird stuff. I don't know about you guys.
Thing weird versus the normal. That's the way I look at it. Like, if you have a normal comp and a weird thing beats it, suddenly everyone starts throwing their doctrines into the air and going like, what do we do? What do we do? How do we beat this?
And I definitely think we're going to see something weird in this next match, seeing as people are slowly starting to land on grid.
You're cheating. Yeah, we'll swap it over right here, and we'll have Baza and Wingnut telling us about this.
Not everything has landed on grid yet.
Oh, there it is. It is. We're good. We're good.
I'm actually really happy about these guys. Oh shit. All right.
So welcome to the grid. Sorry, Wingnuts.
Yeah,
obviously
I
a little bit
wasn't
difficult.
jumping on this one, but okay.
A little bit difficult to communicate when we're both on the other side of the planet to each other. So I'll just, I guess I'll just run through what the blue team have brought, which is, just trying to figure out which team that is, because the Ancients is on the blue side. So they've brought an absolutely dishonorable ECM comp. They've brought 2 Griffins and a Scorpion. I'm going to lead with those because they're sort of the core of that ECM wing. A Navy Scorpion for some damage and a Drake as well. 2 Orthreses, a Scimitar, a Sentinel, and a Jackdaw.
Yeah, meanwhile, I've said mine bringing a full brick comp, essentially. Damnations, Sacrileges, Heretics, Tokens. That is a lot of EHP to go through. That's going to be really hard to chew through these ships.
I
also just want to say quick today to someone. Kiatsi, I see you, buddy. Good to see you around, man. He's a MPSI guy, so pleasure to see him here.
A interesting thing to look at this is a possible armor version of the shield rush comp. Those Damnations are all hams. I believe the Sacrileges are heavy missiles, and the Heretics are rockets. Never mind, the Heretics are light missiles. Apologies.
Yeah, I believe it's I think there's rapid heavies for the Scorp navies as well. I think they're a weird model.
Is if those Damnations and Sacks are ham fit, those Griffins and Scorpion can give them a very bad time, because obviously if that Griffin jams you and you're 70k away from him, you cannot touch him. That you might as well be exploded. There's nothing you can do.
So they potentially brought the right answer for this. Potentially.
Yeah, it's possible.
All right, and
So
time is up.
underway.
Here we go.
So I'm expecting to see these Damnations just rush in and do their best to stop brick tanking and Sacrileges as well.
I just love the idea of Damnations rushing in. Like, it's more like a slow jog from an old cow. It doesn't really work.
Extremely large man running at sort of, he's trying his best. He's trying his best to go as fast as he can, but it's not. It's not Usain Bolt.
Everyone dropped ECM drones. Everyone brought ECM drones. Like every single ship I've seen.
The Deacon of Liz Ryan just goes down. Like he's just been outfit off the field. So I'm guessing those Orthreses are rapid light missile fit, and the Jackdaws light missiles as well. Just absolutely volley them off. But the Griffins are going down now as well. Those Griffins are a pain in the ass.
If Orthreses were not rapid light, I would say that they need to be shot. But that's the right call. Rapid light Orthreses are the only way to go, and immediately you see why. Deacon dead, second Deacon dead, and what to show for it? Maybe a single Griffin kill. That's it.
Yeah, Griffin's annoying, but probably not as annoying as having 2 enemy Logi frigates up to support these absolute brick tank ships. Obviously, huge resists on the Damnations and the Sacks, so they love those Logi being up, and obviously with the Logi not up, they're just a wall of EHP that's not going to regenerate anymore.
Yep, and now they're going after the Heretics as well. Easy frags. If they get rid of those Heretics, that means that the Griffin can stay alive to ruin the day of these Damnations. So those Heretics are going to try desperately, I think, to get rid of the Sentinel and the Griffin. And they're just currently dying to rapid lights and light missiles from the Jackdaw. This is not looking good.
Yeah, they are taking chunks out of this Navy Scorpion, but the Scimitar may be able to keep them up if some of these jams land. Obviously, we're seeing jams spreading across the 3 Damnations and the 2 Sacrileges, in fact, across everything on that side. So any of those jams and the Scimitar will just say, okay, cool, rep me back up, start over again. I'm a little bit curious about the decision to take Heretics as another one of them dies. I mean, the Confessor was open. They're the same number of points. I guess maybe
it's a full Amarian roleplay thing, because every ship is a bar.
Well, the Confessor's Amara as well, don't forget. Maybe they just wanted light missile Heretics for easy sort of damage and projection against Griffins and Sentinels that they're coming up against, but so far it doesn't really seem to be helping too much.
I believe it's longer range and better application against small targets, hence why Griffin died. The second one's still alive, he's holding on, and the Scimitar is doing really well holding the Scorp Navy. I'm not sure, I don't think the damage in 3 Damnations are particularly high, but surely it should be enough to be taxing that Scimitar's work right now.
Yeah, and these Sacrilege and Damnations are still just trying somewhat helplessly to get on top of something, but not having a great deal of success so far. I mean, they are going to take a long time to whittle through, as we talked about. These are just big balls of EHP. They seem to be on top of this Jackdaw of Paragoda, but it doesn't seem to be taking that much damage for the time being. I think they maybe want to get on top of something a little bit more valuable. I mean, there's no way they're ever going to catch either of these Orthruses. They're a lost cause. They're gone.
All you can go for is maybe the Scimitar and the Scorp Navy, and maybe the Drake potentially, but it's not
Jackdaw
going
does
to
go
matter.
down.
Yeah, that being said, Jackdaw manages to go down. Maybe to the Heretics, because he shouldn't have been caught by the Damnations.
I mean, he was tackled, I think, by the Sacrilege, and the Sacrilege is now on his way to tackle either this Drake or... I mean, this Orthrus is webbed as well. The Orthrus is web scrammed. I don't know how he's got caught, but he somehow has. So I imagine they're going to kill him off next. This Orthrus is pretty squishy, obviously very fast, rapid like missile. They apply from miles away. But once caught, they're pretty paper. And yeah, Lead Tom, as I mentioned, he is just
tackled by the
melting.
Damnation or the Sacrilege? I can't tell. I'm hoping it wasn't the Damnation. If you got tackled by a Damnation, that is just embarrassing.
I don't know, but it's a pretty shameful display, to be honest. It's not good to be caught in the Orthrus there.
Yeah, he was the same. He was the same Orthrus that got caught by the Heretic earlier as well.
Oh no!
The second Orthrus is also caught. I think this one was maybe by the Heretic, so that's a little bit more acceptable. We can forgive that one.
Honestly, max respect to Frosty Knee here. He's managed to go off and tackle an Orthrus, a ship designed purposely to kill things like him, and he's managed to got the tackle and is staying alive just long enough for the sack to get on him. And now that the sack's on him, he should run away. It's time for him to
All of
leave.
Sax just coagulates on top of him and spits, just vomits DPS on top of him, and away he goes.
I will say, Soundmind is slowly trying to pull this back. I still think they're going to struggle to try and rip through the Scorp Navy and the Scorpion with a Scimitar holding it up, and even the Drake will be a tough sell. That resist bonus is very powerful, but I mean, hey, they've managed to kill off all the support ships quite effectively, except for the Sentinel at the moment.
It is, but they don't have links apart from on the Drake. They may have maybe one, maybe two links on the Drake, whereas these Damnations are going to be fit to the gills with links, and obviously with their inherent HP bonus, and then the all three armor links they're going to have. They're going to be insanely tanky, probably even tankier than this Navy Scorpion. And this first Scorpion's taking chunks.
Oh, yep, Scorpion's starting to get hurt. I'm trying to see if the Scimitar's been jammed up. I think it's...
Yeah, they are. Just mentioned in my ear, the attack bar on the Ancient side is tiny. They have got very little damage left with those two Orthrus gone. This Navy Scorpion Drake, pretty much their only damage left, maybe a little bit coming from the Scorpion, but obviously mainly going to be an ECM boat. So
I believe they're rapid heavy fit the Scorp Navy and the Scorpion, hence why they are doing effectively no damage. They're starting to shoot now.
That would make sense.
But the Scorpion's going down. I'm actually...
yeah.
He's going to save this. Come on. Please.
This is a race against time for Of Sound Mind. I mean, obviously, with this Scimitar up, if they lose too much DPS in the meantime, eventually they won't be able to break anything with that Scimitar. Effectively uncatchable at this point, but I mean, that doesn't seem to be a problem they're facing with so little damage being put out by the Ancients.
So I think I've noticed, which is the big change in this match, Offside Mind shot the Orthruses and Jackdaws because they had such a high amount of rep drones, which is why the Sacrilege and Heretic are not going down. So they've swapped the stuff that can kill the rep drones. So now the Ancients don't have enough damage to break through rep drones.
Yeah, and now these Damnations are just going to park up on top of the Scorpion Navy issue and start vomiting damage onto him. I'm surprised this Heretic is still alive, to be honest. It must purely be rep drones, because obviously there's no reps on that side, but he's still just holding fine. All the damage that the Ancients can muster is making basically no impact, and this wall of EHP that they've brought, Of Sound Mind is looking pretty strong right now.
Well, it looks like it's a heavy missile or ham Drake trying to shoot that Heretic, and obviously the Scorp Navy is also a heavy missile, so they are pretty much scratching this Heretic, and he's constantly getting rep by rep drone. So yeah, they can't kill him. Like he's going to stonewall them. A Heretic's going to hold this entire team at bay.
Yeah, I was questioning the value of the Heretic. It's something I theory crafted a little bit at the start of when the rules were announced and the point values and stuff. In theory, I wasn't sure about how effective the wobbles would be in practice. But I mean, on tank stats, they're pretty formidable.
Felix's Sacrilege just tackled their Scimitar, by the way. Yeah.
Really? Oh,
yeah, he
wow.
just broke off and grabbed him.
I feel like at this point it's too little too late. The Scimitar wasn't going to be able to keep anything up under this damage, and they haven't really got any way of killing anything with so little damage of their own left. These Damnations just fly around and park up.
Felix's Sacrilege locked up this entire match. I didn't know he existed. I guess they must have thought the same thing because they didn't notice him tackling the Scimitar. That's not good. That's ouch. And they
Yeah.
can't do anything. They're stuck. Like the only
That's
DPS they
definitely
really
not what you
have
want.
now is Skull Navy.
Yeah, the Sentinel and Griffin, they're able to provide some control, but clearly not going to be enough. I mean, against these Damnations and Sacrileges missile, sort of the newts from the Sentinel, kind of irrelevant. Any tracking disruptors, irrelevant. The jams, I mean, it's a Griffin, it's annoying, but it obviously can't jam everything at the same time, and there's still more than enough DPS left with one jam to punch through whatever they're focusing.
Yeah, I think the problem with this comp is they had nothing to really screen or hold these guys away. Like, you had the Orthreses to try and kill small stuff, great, but then the whole thing with Orthreses is they're great at running away and keeping out of danger. And sure, they can do it. The Scorpions can't. And apparently the Orthreses couldn't do that anyway because they got caught no matter what. So this comp seems a little confused. Like, it wants to kind of run away but also stay there. And then it couldn't do either of them and it died doing both. So I don't know what they're really going for at the moment.
Yeah, it's a bit of a risk bringing a Sentinel and 2 Griffins without sort of control or like mitigation to keep them alive. I mean, the Griffin and Sentinel did stay alive, but yeah, the Orthresis getting caught, pretty critical mistake to this match, I think. I mean, they probably pack, 400-ish DPS? I can't remember off the top of my head. I'll have to apply for it. But yeah, I mean, those things are designed to fly around, be a menace, keep applying DPS, and wipe out Frigate Wings. I mean, they wiped out the Deacons, but the fact that one of the Heretics survived and the 2 Orthreses were dead is really not good. It's really, really not good.
Yeah, for sure.
There's no way that an Orthrus should be caught by a Ham Damnation or a Ham Sacrilege.
Exactly that. What should have happened there is that the Orthreses killed all the Heretics and both the Deacons without being caught.
Yeah.
They managed to do that while getting caught and killed. So that's not a good play. You guys might need to go back to the drawing board and learn to hit the Michael Warp Drive a bit more often because that shouldn't have happened.
And 35 seconds left in the match. This Scorpion Navy issue may just go down before time. He's finally lost through shields. I mean, these Sacrilege and Damnations have been punching him for what seems like an eternity now. Obviously, Scorpion Navy, hugely tanky, but he will finally fall to the might of these endless volleys of missiles on him.
And I will say as well, just shame on both teams for bringing a lot of ECM drones. Like, I'm still seeing them. They're all across the grid. There are some rep drones, some damage drones, but there are just so much ECM. Dishonorable to a lot of you. As the match is over. Good fights in Lickle as well. So, well done to Of Sound Mind. That's a great comeback there. And we'll send it back to the studio after an ad break.
And welcome back to the desk with Soundmind beating the Ancients 79-34 in a really interesting match. Before we get too into that, huge thanks to CCP for hosting us. For those of you who have absolutely no idea where CCP sent you, this is the Alliance Tournament Opens, which is our kind of every weekend pre-hype pre-game where we stream 8 teams going up against each other in a little miniature tournament, kind of as a good way to get practice, build up hype for the Alliance Tournament 17, which is November 6th and 7th, and November, I believe, 14th and 15th, if I'm not messing my math up here. Might be 13th, 14th, not entirely sure. But it is super duper exciting. Lots of spaceships, literal trillions of ISK on the line up there. Really huge thing. And we just do this, I think, pretty much every single Saturday, just as a way to, get some hype, get some practice, get some experience for the different teams. But that plug being said, we just saw a really cool match between Of Sound Mind and the Ancient. And Brett, I think you had a lot of stuff you wanted to say about that one, so I'm gonna throw it over to you real quick.
Yeah, importantly, the reason they did not have a lot of damage in the Ancients is they only had 4 damage: a Scorpion Navy with Rapid Heavies, a Scorpion with Rapid Heavies, and are you ready for this? A triple link 3-gun heavy missile Drake. So it neutered itself in terms of damage and EHP by fitting 2 of the modules, which allows you to fit extra command bursts, and then screwed its fitting with getting extra command bursts on. So that was an interesting choice. So they just didn't have enough damage to break down these brick tanked comps. And they realized this halfway through. Out of Sound Mind realized this halfway through. They knew that they could probably spend a lot of time breaking the Scorpion Navy, but while they were doing that, they'd lose the match because all their small end and all their rep drones would eventually get broken down. So they realized this halfway through the shields of the Scorpion Navy the first time. They pulled backwards, and rushed the Orthruses, which were a little bit closer. They got on top of the Orthruses, freed up the heretics a little bit, dropped rep drones to keep everything alive, and shot the things that actually have light missiles. Because when the only thing that has damage left on the field is shooting heavy missiles, your heretics are going to stay alive, your light drones are going to stay alive, you have a lot more survivability in that situation, especially since all the sacks can assault damage control and boost their EHP. When they get low, they can pop that. The rep drones will top them back up, and then because of the small amount of damage the opposing team had, they couldn't break through the sacks in the amount of time it took, even with reload. So what it ended up being is where one team couldn't kill one and one team couldn't kill the other, and Off Sound Mine were just ahead in points. Unfortunately, the Scimitar pilot wasn't really on the ball at all, because the Sacrilege just went, you know what? I think I'm going to tackle you, and burned straight towards the Sacrilege and got right on top of it, which a Scimitar should have. A Scimitar has an effective rep range of like 40-50 kilometers and still be repping perfectly fine. So there is no way that Sacrilege should have got on top. And then after they got that Sacrilege, after the Sacrilege got on top of the Scimitar, I believe the match was over at that situation because they could just slowly grind down the opposing team.
Yeah, it was a just a really, really interesting attempt, I think, of the Ancients. I really liked what their idea, but maybe they just need a little tiny bit more damage to get through there. That being said, we are going to be moving on to the next match. Sound will be going up against Literally Triggered in about an hour here, which should be really interesting since both those teams have been, Literally Triggered has shown themselves as very strong. Sound showing themselves as very strong in their first match that we've seen. And we have upcoming here, Test Alliance Please Ignore versus Ride My Turtle, who I think everybody knows who Test is to some degree or another, for some reason or another. Ride My Turtle, we saw them do pretty well last weekend, and I think we had the infamous dartboard comp selector, I believe, that we got to see from them. So it should be super interesting. Do we have any predictions for this? I guess we'll start with whoever keys up first. Go.
Me. Well, I mean, Testa out of the feeders, they absolutely bombed it spectacularly. Very shameful display. Ride My Turtle, headed, as you said, by Chorodon or Cable, as he's otherwise known. So I would go with Ride My Turtle for this just because they're actually in the tournament, although, of course, props to Test again for showing up to these opens. These are obviously non-compulsory. Teams are voluntary and showing up. So thank you to Test for turning up. But yeah, you're not in the tournament. I'm sorry.
Wow.
But they can still regain honor, you know? There's still honor on the line, still pride on the line.
I was trying to not say that, but
surely they've got nothing to lose in terms of giving away comps and stuff.
It's true. That is true.
They can bring their
Exactly
absolute
that reason.
A-tier comps, whereas Ride My Turtle are definitely going to be They were holding back last week for sure. I think. And
I
think
believe
they'll
that
probably be
so
holding
much
back
that I just
again.
spent all my votes to swing the votes from Test being like 5% behind to now it's even. Come at me, boys.
All right. That's what I like to see. We want to see some really crazy stuff and lots of high tier shit talking. That's what we're here for. Yeah, no, you do have a really good point though. We saw the infamous dartboard for Chori where he apparently was literally throwing darts at a board to decide what their team comps were for the opens, where you're right, Test could bring some crazy A-team, awesome, mega cool setup that we've never seen before. So that's a totally good call there.
It's a pretty risky strat to have that dartboard strat if the dart lands on your own super mega awesome incredible comp and you're like, oh shit, now we have to show the super awesome mega incredible comp for this open weekend. I feel like that's a sort of you need to sort of filter what comps you're going to put on your dartboard, or maybe Cable throws the dart and then, oh no, I don't want to show that one, and sort of moves it elsewhere, pulls it out and have another throw.
Deliberately fly it badly. He'd fly it badly deliberately so they think it's crap.
Just to hype everybody up here, we have one of the most interesting possible two comps that I've seen yet. This is going to be a very entertaining match.
Well, I think we're going to be having you talk about it, and I don't know. Let's see, Jen, do you want to? Jen's doing it. Jen, you and Brett, and then whoever chimes in during the middle of the thing. Trying to find out. We'll switch to it in just a second here. We're not entirely sure if everyone's here yet. I believe somebody may have forgotten to warp, which means they're most likely going to end up at the middle of the arena, depending on General Stargazer's feelings here. So whether or not he feels like punishing them the official way, or if he's going to be cool. I think he's going to. I hope he sends them to 0. That's always the best way of doing this. But yes, we definitely have two good setups. We can name and shame. Yep, Madcrafter warped to the sun instead of the arena, which is not how you're supposed to play this game.
It's 1v1 at sun, bro. Come on, don't you know it?
Yeah, he's like, I'm going to 1v1 at
to 0, and looking at the grid and looking at the comps, that is not where he wants to be. That
awesome. All right, we can
be.
Yeah, let's swap it over here real quick now, and yeah, Brett and Jen, tell me about things.
All right, Brett. So you were very, very excited taking a look at things. What comp excited you most here?
I am extremely interested in the double Leshak Balgon undermanned comp with Deacons as a small end. This is the idea of, you know what? Leshaks do a lot of damage. Let's see how this works. Whereas Ride My Tail have gone with an entirely different comp, which is interesting for a different reason. They've gone for drone control with Armageddon and a Rapier to keep everything away, and a lot of drones with double Ishtar, double Mem.
Yeah, this is a really interesting matchup, but I gotta say now, Ride My Turtle have a huge advantage if we're going by the statistics. Undermanned comps have such a long history of not working out in the Alliance tournament. The only sort of variation that's ever really been super effective is the Tinkers, and neither of these sides are a Tinker. In fact, Test Alliance, please ignore, have no logistics on the field at all other than those Deacons. It's going to be so hard to keep those ships alive without anything to screen for them as well. The match is starting here, though. It's going to be a question, I think, of what do Ride My Turtle put their DPS on to start with. Personally, I'd try and go for that Myrmidon, get those links off the field, sick your drones on there, and then pull back, spread newts. It's going to be so difficult to get the Leshaks onto a team that can spread out like this from Ride My Turtle.
Yeah, and you've just got a lot of rushing on that Ishtar. You've got a single Vengeance pulling forward to maybe tackle the Garmas, but when the Leshaks finally get on top of that Ishtar and finally start applying damage, it's going to be a bad time. They are burning close and maybe out-tracking their own guns, but let's see how damage is applied now.
Oh yeah, that Ishtar, Madcrafter, he is donezo. There is no way those Deacons are burning in to try and save him. Oh no, I say that, and Baratham, he's getting dangerously close to the fight here. He's got to watch his positioning. There's every chance that they could turn for him. In fact, Oscar's going in. It looks like they're deploying their tackle into this scrum here around Madcrafter. Was this maybe an intentional tactic?
We lost a Leshak we lost Garmas because they've dropped bouncers and are now headshotting the Garmas the moment they slow down. Yes, the Deacons are burning close because they know the Leshaks are out-tracking their own guns, and the longer the Ishtar stays alive, the longer they have to just snipe smaller things. They're putting pot shots into the Deacon, then the Leshak, then the Deacon. They're just switching between everything.
Madcrafter, they're finally going down. You can see he is finally going down in the middle. Now it's going to be a question of where do these Leshaks go to, and can they grab a hold of anything? Can they keep that attack bar up? Ride My Turtle's attack bar is going to be stable for almost the entire fight as long as they leave their drones on something they can apply to.
A really awkward thing they're doing right now is they're trying to shoot a deacon when it's not tackled. They have it slowed down, and they know the moment they track, it's just going to be deleted. But the bouncers are just about not tracking, so you're only seeing a tiny bit of damage, and not that boom headshot that we saw with the Garmers.
Yeah, you're gonna have to watch out for IIR though. Here, he's burnt his ADC, but he is still webbed, neutered, grappled. He is right in the thick of things there, and it's gonna be difficult for him to pull out at only 20 meters a second. And he doesn't have his ADC to cope with incoming DPS here. He's gonna watch out.
Yeah, they need to swap off this deacon now. They need to shoot something else that they can actually track because they haven't slowed this deacon down long enough. They need to pop some of the smaller stuff until eventually they can get close enough and apply webs. You are seeing some damage drop onto the Balagon, and that might just be one or two people shooting, but they're still going for this deacon and just not doing any damage because of the mitigation.
Yeah, you can see there, finally, IIR. The tackle war here is going in favor of Test Alliance somehow, despite the fact that they've got no tackle left. This is really good stuff. You can see that these ships, the Myrmidon pilot, Neil Swats, he's been doing great, just picking these Vengeances out, webbing them down, preparing them for the Balgorn to swap newts onto them every time they come in too close. This is great piloting from Test Alliance.
Yeah, but I'm begging Turtle, please shoot something that isn't a deacon. Come on. Anything else you could track and would have had killed right now. You can't track those deacons. You have enough damage with double Mem and Ishtar and Armageddon damage. If you can hit anything else on this field, come on.
And there we go. That's another Vengeance there. Breaking, gone. They've got no tackle left now on this Ride My Turtle team. Nothing to screen off these deacons, and you can see those Balgorn newts are starting to apply to Baratham, and the remote repair effects have completely stopped on Ride My Turtle's team. This is a dangerous point in the match now.
Yeah. Ride My Turtle have the Armageddon and can mute something off with the rapier webs and absolutely destroy it, but they're just not doing that. They're finally shooting the Balgorn now, but I have to ask, is it little bit too late? Because they're now applying damage to the Balgorn. Is it a little bit too late? And because they've lost all their tackle, are they not going to be able to do this?
I think they're still going to be able to apply, so it's not going to be as bad as we think. They're still going to be able to pull back, spread out, and kind of play things by ear. And if they use the micro jump drive beacons effectively, they should be able to buy themselves enough time to at least win, maybe on points, but they would need to kill something relatively quick here. And it's going to be difficult to kill anything through those deacon reps, given how bunched together Test Alliance is now at this point.
Yeah, with the Armageddon as well, is they don't really need to shoot the deacons. They can just drop newts on the deacons and apply damage onto something else. Because of course the Armageddon has bonus range, whereas the Balgorn has bonus newt amount. So the Balgorn is much more heavy newts, whereas Ride My Turtle has the bonus for range in this situation.
Yeah, what I'm finding is really interesting here is how Ride My Turtle are coordinating their E-War, and it is really effective. You can see that here, they're pushing Aryan Tamarel off by using the newts to stop his spool and push him out of range on that Armageddon. And I predict that once he gets out of range, they're going to swap those newts again over to Jean and cut off that spool. They've been doing this for a while, and it's stopped these Leshaks from having a huge effect on the match, even though they have been able to kill off those bits of tackle.
Oh, really interesting. We are seeing the sentry drones sniping heavy drones. I don't believe there's any left. All the Leshak's heavy rep drones have finally been killed. So hopefully we're going to see him shoot something else. Because if you look, the deacons are close enough. You're seeing webs on other things. Hopefully that rapier bends in and get webs
Justice
on
for
whatever they wanna shoot
Hungary
at.
is tackled though here. This is going to be potentially really dangerous. This is a lot of offensive control here for Ride My Turtle, now potentially in danger, and those Leshaks are going to be able to get on top of him quick. You can see here they're burning all the way across the arena to him, and they're going to start spooling up with a Colt. Those deacons won't be able to rep through that. Sorry, the deacons won't be able to rep through that.
Yeah, hopefully the Armageddon can spike its newts and spike out the gun on the Leshaks, but that is entirely whether that actually happens. We are seeing the Deacon of Dante finally going down. The Rapier's bent back in and has double webbed it. He's slowing down slow enough that the other Deacon can't rep it in time. If they manage to break through the two Deacons, they can slowly start wearing down these Leshaks, but it's whether they don't have enough time.
Yeah, that was Neo Swats again. They're just like, I don't know what's been going on, but Ride My Turtle just been completely ignoring this Myrmidon. He's been able to get tackle on so many things just by hanging around and being an unkillable brick. And it's cost them dearly so far in this match.
Yeah, I just have a feeling if Ride My Turtle tried to shoot anything other than the small Deacons with heavy sentry drones, they'd be having a better time right now. Especially with Armageddon to apply newts to Deacons.
Yeah, those Deacons are still surviving. They're hanging on, even though Ride My Turtle now are right on top of them. They can apply all of their offensive control to it. It's just not letting them do enough work with these sentry drones. They maybe need to swap out to heavies or something. You can see there are a few berserkers swapping around it, but most of the drones out that are still active seem to be either curators or bouncers. And Justice for Hungary here is going into 20% armor, and I don't think he's going to hold on for much longer.
And they are still trying to shoot a Deacon which isn't tackled, and we're seeing Justice go down.
This is a sunk cost fallacy at work here, guys. You can't keep shooting the same thing.
They're finally shooting something else, and they're breaking the Myrmidon immediately, like I've said from the start.
Oh.
As the Armageddon goes down, they realize anything else on this comp they can actually apply damage to. The Merm's already in 3/4 armor.
Yeah, you can see the Deacons, though, they're burning over to him. They're starting to apply those reps to him. He should be okay here, potentially. Those Berserkers are still going to take their time moving over to him. The mix of drone damage here is really hurting them. It makes it so difficult for them to hot swap between targets.
Yeah, all they needed to do was have the Armageddon apply a single heavy newt to the Deacon, and the Deacon can no longer rep. So all that Armageddon needed to do was get within 40 of a Deacon, and then they shoot anything else. But they sunk cost fallacy and decided to shoot a Deacon that, despite having 2 rapier webs, they couldn't track.
I can almost hear Black Bart Pirate crying in the studio. His beautiful statistic of like 18 losses in a row for undermanned setups is now ruined here by Test Alliance Please Ignore, potentially. 1 minute left on the clock here, and Test Alliance Please Ignore have such a solid lead. It's going to be difficult, even with a boundary violation, for Ride My Turtle to bring this back now.
Yeah, I think there is nothing a single ship points-wise can do by
Oh, and Moki Sake and the Deacon gets tackled. Malfi Vipe is tackled as well.
Yeah, it looks like they've got close enough to the Leshaks that the Leshaks have got grapples on them with the Balgorn double webs. They've just been a little bit close. And managed to pop with the long range Balgorn webs, managed to slow something down long enough that the Leshaks are getting right on top of it, and we're starting to see the rest of the team fall apart.
Yeah, it was a good attempt. It was a really good attempt here from Ride My Turtle. I like this composition, although I think if EOSes are unbanned, you probably want to bring EOSes in a comp like this. They had so much DPS. But it's not enough. This game does go to time, but Test Alliance Please Ignore clinches it with 51 points to 4. So let's head back to the studio and analyze this before getting on to the next one.
We who have seen war will never stop seeing it. In the silence of the night, we will always hear the screams. So this is our story. Wolves amongst strangers.
Did you know that anything can happen in Eltric fleets?
I had a question time, but I couldn't jump. I'm jumping now.
Are you still shaving your balls? Jesus.
Wow, you must have some big balls, you.
Yeah, literally anything.
And with that, Test Alliance somewhat redeems themselves in the eyes of the tournament community, beating Ride My Turtle 51-4. Brett Thomas is losing his mind. He has had to take a break after watching that. So, unfortunately, we will be not hearing him yelling anymore about drones and target calling. Instead, we will hear Bazza telling us about drones and target calling.
Okay, so I don't know if I cast a cursed Ride My Turtle or if Test just took what I said to heart and decided they had an axe to grind or something. I mean, great performance from Test, really well played. That Ishtar going to 0 was kind of inting a little bit, not going to lie. Not just for the fact that the Ishtar, I mean, once he lands at 0, like that drone comp wants to kite around, right? They want to drop sentries, they want to kite around. That Ishtar lands at 0 and he sees the 2 Lashaks and the Balgorn running at him. He is dead. He's dead as fried chicken, right? So the Vengeances then decide, dude, we got to help our Ishtar. So the Ishtar's dead. The Vengeances go in. As soon as they're in, they're not getting out. They're dead as well. And then you've got no control left because you've got the Rapier, but the Rapier can't control everything. It can't web the Deacons, which they need to do to get the sentries to apply, and it needs to web the Lashaks to keep them away, and it wants to web the Armageddon to keep them away as well, or the Balgon, sorry. So the Rapier has the unenviable task of trying to web literally everything. The Vengeances are just straight up inting. I'm gonna call it that. They just flew in with there's no possible universe where they go in, they kill the Garmas, and they get out again. That's just not happening. So, I mean, this was a 10v8, but effectively after the first minute, it was an 8v7, which is not what you're looking for, to be honest. And yeah, Brett calling obviously about the drones shooting the Deacon. They can't kill the Deacon without application, and because of the bans with the Hyena gone, there's no paints. Or limited paints, there's less webs because they've brought the Rapier. So there's less damage effectively because they've had to put in more points into getting those ranged webs. Yeah, it's just you need those Vengeances alive. You need the Vengeances alive big time, and having them just inting in the first minute is really bad. Because the Deacons obviously can't go in to save him. The Deacons can't go anywhere near. The Deacons can't save the Ishtar. They can't save the Vengeances. They're just stuck.
So Bazza, would you in fact say GG tackled if?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the Garmas died pretty quickly, but who really cares? You've got still 2 Lashaks and a Balgorn just flying around, and the Rapier has to stop them, and then they can't apply because the Deacons live. So there's no win once those Vengeances die.
Exactly that. That's the problem there. Is like those Ventures, for the rest of the match, if they did not do that start, they could have screened a single Lashak at some point and got him away from the other Lashak and start splitting the DPS. Do anything else. They could split targets away. They could go back for the Deacons later. Like, the Garmas are going to die. They can't avoid being webbed down by a Rapier and killed by drones. There is no escape for them. So you're not really risking going after them. Like, I am not a tournament pilot, generally, but what in the world? What are they doing? Why? I want to hear the reason. I honestly want to hear, why did they decide to just yeet in to save an Ishtar who'd already died?
Yeah, it's really baffling to me. I mean, I'll be honest, they should know better. I mean, that Ishtar, anyone who everyone on that grid should have known that Ishtar is dead. He's just dead, and there's no way around it. So the Vengeance is going in and dying as well. I don't know. I mean, you're not going to save him. You're not going to free him up. He's still going to be tackled, and he's still going to get shot by the Lashaks. The Deacons can't come in and save him either. I'm just baffled by it a little bit, to be honest.
Well, they did a good attempt. I think that maybe him moving at 0 just kind of threw them off, and they had a plan, and then the guy warped the sun, and they're like, oh no, what do we do? But regardless, it does mean that Ride My Turtle is out for the rest of the weekend. Huge thank you to all of the people that followed, and I think we had a couple of people subscribe, maybe not, I don't know. But all the followers, welcome to the channel. I am being told to tell you to give us Jeff Bezos money, since I know every single one of you has Amazon Prime, as all of us do nowadays. Feel free to use your free subscription on this. It helps pay for, was it, I think 3D cameras, or was it 3D cam girls? I'm not sure which one. I might have got a translation error there. But anyway, we are going to be seeing Odin's Call versus... is this Turbo Feed or Glory? Are they one of the ones that have the ridiculously long names? Or am I thinking of Hidden Valley Ninja Assassins?
No, Turbo Feed or Glory is a totally legit name. They're totally different.
Okay, well, to be fair, Hidden Valley Ninja Leaf Assassins is also a totally legit name. But they are not here this weekend.
Hidden Village. Not Hidden Valley. There's no Hidden Valleys.
Never mind.
Okay?
Yeah, valleys are... yeah, there's tons of Hidden Valleys. Hidden Valleys are way cooler than Hidden Villages. Everybody knows this.
What about a village in a Hidden Valley?
Yeah.
You could have a village in a hidden valley, but you can't have a valley in a hidden village. It is known. Anyways, Odin's Call, Turbo Feeder Glory. Odin's Call actually has been doing fantastically in the last couple tournaments. I believe they either got top 6 or top 4 in the Anger Games. They did really, really good in the Alliance Opens. The ones that weren't this one, like the ones from last year, they've been doing fantastic in the weekends. And Turbo Feeder Glory, what do we know about them? Nothing? Hell yeah. Hell yeah. That's what I like.
Jintan, tell us, please.
Tumbleweed. Jintan, come on,
knows
give
everything.
encyclopedia.
I don't know anything in particular about Turbo Feed or Glory, unfortunately.
There we go. They are a nobody team. We don't know who they are.
I'm sure they're full of very lovely people, but
right.
I haven't done the research on your team yet. I'm very sorry.
They've got a really cool Alliance logo with a wolf. Is it a shark? A wolf and a shark, maybe? Go look it up.
I'm being told by Twitch chat that they live in a C4, which, let's be real, that is all any of us need to know.
I have some intel. I can tell you they turned up 2 weeks ago in the second week of the Opens, and they lost in the first round to Test, who we just saw. So that's a little tidbit for you.
There you go.
Hoping to
Perfect.
get
I love
further
that.
this time.
Here's what I'll say. I have a spreadsheet that tells me all sorts of things about every team. And if they make it through this match, then we'll care enough to look at it. Speaking of, the teams have both landed. So we're just going to swap over to the match screen. I think I'll take this with, let's see. I don't know. Who wants to, whoever X's up, we'll do it. I can do it myself.
Why would I need to X, Chief? Come on.
X and local? All right. Wingnut and I are going to take this next match.
Yeah.
Swap over to it right now.
We're in. Go.
All right. And we have Odin's Call bringing a variant of potentially the Shield Rush. I have to actually quickly take a look at it and see if they are long range fit or not. But they have a Navy Scorpion, 2 Sleipnirs, a Scimitar, 2 Orthuses, 2 Flycatchers, and 2 Skybreakers. And Wingnut Turbo Feed has brought
essentially the Shield Rush minus the Loki, switch it over for Gearless for more DPS, and of course a lot more tank. It's very interesting. The Sleipnirs from Sleipnirs from Odin's Call are autocannons, and I should double check, and it's the exact same for Odin's Call. As for Turbo Feed. So both sides have brought autocannon Sleps here. Obviously, both teams have brought light missile or rapid light missile for support. So I suspect to watch the Jackdaws and Flycatchers just get obliterated. It's going to be interesting to see what happens after that point.
No, it's a good call. There's a lot of anti-small stuff, but then there's also a lot of DPS. So they're rapid light healers as well. So both sides have an incredibly large amount of application versus anything small. Unfortunately, this is not a fly killer setup from Odin's Call, and it is a cruise missile Navy Scorpion. So both teams have a massive amount of DPS. I think that Turbo Feed might have a little bit more. It's kind of hard to tell, but I'm expecting them to rush each other.
I think each gear is like 600, 700 DPS each with rapid lights and drones, and the Scorp Navy's maybe 1100, I think, just a rough guess. So that's more DPS, but then again, it is also spread out, which means you can pick that DPS apart if Odin's Call decides to, and the match is now underway.
Yeah, the Skybreaker of Kaz actually got teleported to the middle because of warping issues, and normally that would be a bad thing, but they're actually very fast little ships, so it looks like he is doing completely fine and having no issues. Seeing a little bit of a tactic difference. Odin's Call is kind of spreading out.
Watch this Raptor. Raptor's going in for the Skybreaker. I think he's overcommitted already. Too much. Turn around, buddy. You're in the middle
Jackie,
of it. Leave.
No, you're ramming. You're not supposed to ram. Not into that.
Lee, run! Actually, he's not. To be fair, they're not killing him. They're going for the Bassi instead.
Oh, look at his.
No, mind,
gone.
he's
dead. He's fucking dead.
We called it. All right. It looks like they're going for the Bassi as well. I suspect it might be the Scorp Navy currently plowing into him. I'm looking.
It has to be. I mean, look at those bursts. He's taking so much damage, but then kind of repping it back up.
And there's no rep drones on him as far as I can see. They've gone full in with those sleps. There's no rep drones backing him up. Obviously, the Gearlords are bringing damage drones. So this Bassi is effectively on his own. So they've got a limited lifespan here. They have to kill a target before their Bassi goes down. Let's see what they go for.
We're seeing webs, paints, newts, and grapples out on the Sleipnir of Mark Resurrection, so I'm thinking they might be going for that. That being said, one of the Jackdaws is getting alpha through his shield really quickly here, too. This damage being spread all over the place from Odin's Call onto Turbofeed, but Turbofeed is zerging into that Scorpion Navy issue, losing a Jackdaw trying to take him down.
It's a hard call to choose. Which one do you go for, a Sleipnir or a Serbia? Sorry, yeah, Sleipnir or a Scorpion Navy. Sorry, my bad. Like, that's a hard choice to make. Obviously, they went for the big ship first. That's a lot of tank, though, compared to DPS. I think the Sleipnirs might be more DPS compared to tank.
I think that, I'd go for the Sleipnir here because, like, you're risking the Scorpion Navy being max tanked fit, and we're seeing Odin's going after Sleipnir and a Basilisk at the same time. They just killed another Jackdaw, or
And then
they
the
just
next
randomly
Jackdaw's
killed
about
another
to go.
Jackdaw, but Mark is about to go down, and that's huge. Losing one of your
Oh.
Sleipnirs right off the bat without killing anything is not what you want to see.
And they went for the big play. They went for the Scorp Navy to try and pick him apart. But in doing so, let's face it, they lost. They've not killed it. They've lost a bunch of their support. Their Bassi is now in low armor, about to go into hull. They've took the gamble, and they have absolutely lost.
Yeah, the
They're
thing to
tough.
look, this Navy Scorpion, I'm almost positive the Navy Scorpion has actually been soloing this Basilisk the entire time, while all the other DPS takes down the Sleipnir. So really cool target splitting calls here. Like, I really, really like what Odin's Call just did.
Yeah, I honestly, I don't know if I think about Odin's calls. They just did the right thing there. Kill small ships, pick off a big ship or two, off you go. The Scorp Navy call, I think, was the one point where Turbofeed just threw it away. If they went for a slip, if they went for even the Scimitar, or maybe just start dunking Orthruses, they have the speed to do it. But they went for the one big ship going, let's headshot this, and you don't headshot a Scorp Navy. It headshots you. So
Yeah, I mean, it's apparently it just killed their Basilisk without, and also the application, no paints, no webs, no nothing, and he was able to just solo the Basilisk down while everything else was killing things, which is pretty cool.
That's the
So
penalty
an
of
interesting
shield.
thing that has happened is one of the Gila shots got the Scorpion Navy, and each of the other Gilas shot a different Orthrus with their drones. So none of the Gilas have focused the same target with their drones.
I'm wondering, here's the hot take of the century right here. What if these Gilas forgot to change their drones from aggressive to passive because they're so used to totally manned computer ratting? I'm just saying, it could have happened.
No comment. No comment. But yeah, they've just been absolutely wiped. This is going to be a clean sweep for Odin's Call. Bravo. Guys, target call better, please. Pick a target you know you can kill, and then either put them all on it or put your ships that can kill small ships onto the smaller ships instead. They didn't even kill a flycatcher. They had 3 Jackdaws. A flycatcher should be dead right now.
Yeah, it's definitely a possibility here. We'll definitely talk about that a little bit more because I got some things I want to say too, and we'll see. There might have been things they could have done, but unfortunately, Turbofeeder Glory is going to. I'm not going to say they get 100 to Ode. They're 100 to 1 because Odin's Call brought one less point than they needed to. But we're going to send it back to ourselves and talk about it in just a little bit here. And welcome back. We just saw Odin's Call effectively clean sweep Turbofeeder Glory. Let's be real. Getting a 1 point on the board because the other team didn't bring a point doesn't really count. We talked about it a little bit. I'm seeing it in Twitch chat. Twitch chat is always on fire as per usual. But there was some arguments of like, well, was a Scorpion Navy a good idea? Was it not? I'm going to say that the reason why you go after the Scorpion Navy with their ships is because you know that you're going to apply to it, assuming you can get on top of it. And I know that pretty much everybody else is like, no, Scorpion Navy was a terrible idea. I still think that it may have been, it's probably a bad idea, but you got to remember one thing about Scorpion Navy issues is that people think of a Scorpion Navy as this is the big tanky ship. So every once in a while, you can set your ship up so that it is actually not quite as tanky, and you're relying on your local resist bonuses, local shield, which makes them sometimes one of the squishiest ships on the field. Now that being said, they obviously fed horribly, and I'm probably totally wrong about that. So Wingnut, go for it.
You're in the channel with the one person who would actually fit a polarized Scorp Navy. No one in this tournament is going to do it besides me. They're not going to do that. The Scorp Navy's always been the most tankiest thing there. That's not going to happen. You can dream of it, my man, but it's not going to happen unless I'm in the team. You don't. The Scorp Navy is the worst call. It is the biggest, tankiest ship, and it doesn't even do the most DPS as far as I'm aware. The Sleipnirs pretty much match it, and they sacrificed their entire team to try and kill one ship, and they just flatlined, failed.
An important thing to say is they did follow your instructions and try and scoop the Scorp Navy, but once the Sleipnirs got on top of the Scorp Navy, the two other Sleipnirs tackled them down, the Scorp Navy bent away, and all of a sudden it went from 40% shields back up to full.
So you're saying they had a chance?
If they'd have locked it down and wouldn't have got screened, but I think the big thing was they got screened and wasted time shooting something that was bending away out of their gun range.
Yeah, that is true. A point to have is that they did almost kill that Scorp Navy, but Odin's Call made the very intelligent decision of just wiping out the entire backline tackle. That, frankly, I think that realistically, Turbofeeder Glory had a better team setup to kill small stuff. Like they had those rapid light helas, they had all the jackdaws and stuff, really huge amounts of application. So, I think maybe a safe thing to say, which you guys can then be like, no, Scorpion bad, was that their idea was sound, but maybe they didn't have the right target calling to back it up. Like if they had gone after the small stuff then for the Scorp Navy, maybe they would have got it.
Yeah, I want to talk a little bit about that actually, rather than sort of the specifics of the Scorp Navy, because looking at those two comps, they're actually fairly similar. But Odin's had that Scorp Navy at the top end, which Turbofeeder Glory didn't. So they got 21 points spent there. So you got to think, where have Turbofeeder Glory spent those 21 points? They both got Logi Cruisers, they both got Tech 2 Sleipnirs, and then Odin's brought 2 Ulthruses, so they're going to absolutely demolish Frigg Wings. And Turbofeed bought 3 Gilas. Now, 3 Gilas, 3 points more expensive each. 3 of them, that's 9 points. Obviously, you've got 1 extra ship hull there as well. So, I mean, to start with, Ulthruses are insane. They are so good. And Gilas are good, yeah. We talked about them before briefly. Gilas are decent. Ulthruses are incredible. If the Ulthrus is open, I think it's a no-brainer to choose the Ulthrus. Because the Gila over the Ulthrus gets... I mean, it applies damage effectively worse because you've got to account for drone travel time to some degree. It gets tank, which you don't really care about because you want to kite around anyway. The Ulthrus just fills that role fine. So they've spent extra points there on a ship that's potentially effectively worse at the role. And then Odin's brought, 2 Flycatchers, I believe, and Turbofeed brought 3 Jackdaws. Now, this one's a little bit curious to me because from like looking at ship stats and theory crafting fits and stuff, I feel like the Jackdaw is far and away the best option for the 4-point sort of shield destroyer role. It's incredible. It does damage to like 90k. It does more damage than anything else in the role. But the Flycatcher's one advantage, I believe, is EHP. So I think Odin's were very, very smart here. They expected a sort of kind of pseudo-y mirror matchup with some sort of rapid light application from Gilas or Ulthruses and Sleipnirs and that sort of stuff. And they thought, well, if we bring Jackdaws, they might just get alphaed. But if we bring Flycatchers, maybe our logic can save them. So I want to give credit to Odin's for that smart comping. I think it was an intelligent decision, and the rocket Flycatcher, just able to pump out damage anyway. But yeah, I feel like the target calling was poor.
The difference between Jackdaw and Flycatcher there is that the Flycatcher doesn't have to change anything. It just is what it is. The Jackdaw can be more tanky, but then it loses its range. It could be more DPS, but then it loses its tank. It can be fast, but then it loses both those other options. You have to choose which thing at the right time, and all it takes is one bad call, your Jackdaw dies. Whereas the Flycatcher, I'm not going to say any person could fly it, but it doesn't take as much to fly it well. It does take a lot still, though.
Yeah, that's true. And also there's the aspect of having effectively more buttons to press opens an avenue for making mistakes. Like, you can't enter sharpshooter mode in a Flycatcher and just go down to 5k EHP. It's not a mistake you can make by pushing that button because that button doesn't exist. Yeah, I think what I think it was Black Bart was saying about the target calling. I think with the 3 Gilas and the 3 Jackdaws, they probably should have been clearing the support wing. That's what their comp is strong at, and they decided instead to shoot all that damage into the biggest thing on the field, which is not what their comp is good at.
The one difference between Gilas and Orthruses as well is the Orthrus is great at just murdering small stuff, and that's really about it. It can bring DPS to bigger stuff, but it's not really its forte. Whereas the Gila can kill small stuff with its rapid lights and drones, but it really does well at killing cruisers up. Like the amount of DPS it brings from whatever distance it wants to be at, that it does a lot better at that role, in my opinion, than trying to kill small stuff, which is again the Orthrus's bread and butter.
Yeah, that is a fair point.
An important thing in that composition, in that fight there, which is why you didn't see any of the Orthruses die, is because the Gilas assigned their medium drones onto it. The Orthruses just constantly micro warp drive around, and the drones only applied like 40% of their actual DPS. So the only real DPS was the light missiles.
Oof.
Yeah, I saw the drones fire and then waste half of their fire time burning back up to the Orthruses, who were micro warp driving away and just outrunning them.
And while we're currently kind of slagging him off a little bit, unfortunately, sorry guys, they had the Basilisk there. Really great Logi ship, can be pretty tanky, but they gave it no support, no Logi drones, no like way to try and force DPS off. They just kind of like, okay, we bought a Bassi, have fun, and it just got obliterated by a single Scorp Navy. I hope it was just a single Scorp Navy.
Yeah, I'm almost positive. I was kind of keeping an eye on it while you guys were casting, and it looked like the Scorp Navy just locked it up, pressed F1 and went AFK, and 3 minutes later the Basilisk died, and that's fun.
Sometimes I really regret my name.
Yep, the Basilisk died. Come on, why are you such a bad AT ship?
Yeah, speaking of which, it is an interesting choice to bring the Basilisk instead of the Scimitar there. I feel like the Scimitar is just kind of better. I don't know, it's just good.
Yeah,
It's got better resist, it's faster, it's smaller,
I do feel like both would have died there, but you were definitely right. The Scimitar would have been better. If you're not going to support it, bring a Semi. It can generally do the job itself without too much help. The Bassi really does need support, in my opinion. It needs some backup of some description. It had none. It just got left to die.
Well, that being said, that match is over, which means we have finished the first round of the weekend, which means we're going to be seeing winners fighting each other as opposed to losers feeding to each other, which is always more exciting. So switching off from shit-talking Turbo Feeder Glory, who did exactly what their namesake was in Turbo Fed, we will be going into literally Triggered versus Of Sound Mind, which should be pretty exciting. I think this is the first time we've really seen Sound, and they've been already showing themselves to be really fantastic. Like their comps was pretty okay, but the way they piloted and keeping their cool and doing stuff was really awesome. And while I have the floor, again, thank you guys for following, thank you for subbing, thank you for doing all those things. If we get enough subs and enough money, we can then buy an Even Tea hot tub for our hot tub stream later, which will be super duper exciting. Branding it in Even Tea colors makes it at least 30% more sexy. How are we thinking literally Triggered versus Of Sound Mind is going to go?
I'm thinking this is going to be a really interesting matchup because Of Sound Mind, we saw in the opening match they really mismanaged their tackle, with the exception of Frosty Knee, but they were able to win out because they had really good game plan and they had a good composition that just ended up having a great matchup. They were definitely able to outthink rather than outfly their opponents, whereas literally Triggered have just been coming in here with really clinical execution of whatever relatively simple comp they've brought. So this is the real matchup of kind of opposites in terms of what you focus on as an AT team here. Theory crafting versus individual piloting skill.
I think in the context of these opens as well, Of Sound Mind is still a little bit of an unknown, whereas literally Triggered have, to my knowledge, brought the same kind of comp a bunch of times now with the Tempest Fleet, and the Armageddon, the Stabber Fleet, Park Bank and the Guardian, of course. They brought Nurgle a couple of weeks ago or last week, but they didn't bring that this time. So they're switching up a little bit. But I think it's a fair bet that we may well see that kind of comp again. So Of Sound Mind, of course, have perhaps better opportunity to sort of outplay around that. Stabber Fleet issue strong though, so I mean, who could vote against them really?
Gotta love that tracking bonus, yo.
Well, for those who don't know, the Stabber Fleet issues were kind of a meme. I think it was the first match of the feeders where whoever it was who literally Triggered went up against, who I cannot remember, as they have been relegated to the trash can since they are no longer in the Alliance tournament, all end on a Stabber Fleet issue. and literally Triggered was able to keep that Stabber Fleet issue up for I think like 2 or 3 minutes straight while completely destroying the other team. So we know that Stabber Fleet issues are strong. They brought it in every single match so far. They still have not lost with it, which means it clearly is the most meta of tournament ships.
I think they actually did lose a match with it a couple of weeks ago in the Opens, just the one, but they're still obviously massively winning. They're like 5-1 with it, but I'm fairly sure they did lose one match with it, unfortunately.
They lost one match in the Opens.
Which, I mean, they haven't lost a match in an actual proper tournament, so I mean, you know,
Are you saying this isn't
Hey,
a
hey,
proper
hey, hey!
tournament?
You saying
Hold
it's
on
not
a second there.
sir?
This
How
this has
dare!
just as much standing as anything that anyone else has done ever. You just get, instead of trillions and trillions of ISK, you can get 500 plex and a ship skin for winning.
And pride.
And pride, which is really, at the end of the day, with EVE Online the way it is, does anyone still need ISK? Obviously not.
And also, just for your information, Bart, literally Triggered beat No Vacancies, who are, according to you, relegated to the trash bin. Just to throw a little bit of flame out there, just to direct that flame. It was sort of thrown out into the audience to see who would catch it, but I've lasered on who the target is. And
look, I'm just saying,
just to confirm that for you as well, the Stabber Fleet issue is 7 points.
Thank you very much. Sorry, I couldn't remember.
It's okay.
That's not bad. Yeah, so I'm being told they lost to Odin's Vargar. Thank you, Twitch chat, which is, I don't know if they were the ones who banned Vargars, but Vargars are very strong. I'm not sure if Vargars are the end-all, be-all, most dangerous ship, but regardless of Stabber Fleet issues and Vargars, we are seeing teams landing on the grid right now for literally Triggered versus Sound Mind, which I think, Jintan, I haven't heard your voice too much in the last, 20 minutes, so you're going to be casting this with, Brett, are you here? Nope, Bassa. Jintan and Bassa, ready, switch.
Caught me off guard. Switching.
We will switch.
Go.
Hey,
all right. Here
we are. Jintan, go for it. Take it away.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the arena. As you can see here, literally Triggered have bought something we haven't seen before, which is 2 Stabber Fleet issues, not just one. They have doubled down here, and they're pairing that with 2 Tempest Fleet issues, a Guardian, a Sacrilege, Pontifex, Confessor, Vengeance, and Skybreaker. And meanwhile, what have Sound Mind brought?
So Of Sound Mind have brought the same thing they brought earlier, this Amar brick roleplay comp, 3 Damnations, 2 Sacrileges, 2 Deacons, 3 Heretics. None of it looks like you really want to shoot it. It's all going to tank for absolutely ages. So the only real option here, I would assume, is to kill the Deacons, because though Deacons are alive, you're not going to kill pretty much anything else. So it somewhat makes it perhaps a little bit easier for literally Triggered in terms of they can't... It's difficult to make a mistake when you know what you got to shoot, and you know you don't want to shoot the Sacrileges, and you know you definitely don't want to shoot the Damnations. So the Deacons are probably the easy choice, and you've got those 2 Stabber Fleet issues and the Confessor and Vengeance to try and get on top of them as well.
Yeah, BBP has just informed me that they have actually brought this comp before. This was the comp that they won the feeders with, so their second victory, and the one that put them in the actual Alliance tournament. So let's see how this goes up against something that's a little more meta here. This is similar to the composition that we saw, gosh, I can't remember what team they beat, but it was quite the upset against the Nighthawk Shield Rush.
Yeah, one thing's for sure, literally Triggered have a veritable smorgasbord of variations of this Fleet Tempest, Stabber Fleet, Guardian, Sacrilege kind of comp. So, I mean, you can try and ban it, but it's clear that they're going to bring whatever else makes it work. And so many options that they seem able to mix and match as they please. This Heretic, both these Heretics are taking aggro now. Stabber Fleet issue of Ragnar Ragnarsson, they want to take that down. Those ships are obviously clearly superior in every way to everything else, so if you kill those, there's no way they can possibly win.
You can see that
fast, tanking so far.
Ragnar isn't even really hard tackled. He's just getting pushed off by basically DPS and a single web there. No scram on him. The Skybreaker is also taking DPS. Just everything being spread around here. Quite an interesting strategy from Of Sound Mind, but it looks like it's working out here as Sai Kakashi goes into low armor, whilst the Guardian of Park Bank is also taking a bit of DPS.
Guardian's holding the Skybreaker, though. He seems okay for the time being. Tackle is thoroughly spread across those 3 Damnations and 2 Sacrileges, so if they are, again, ham-fit, they're going to have difficulty applying to anything far out, and that Stabber Fleet issue is quite far out. The entire support wing, actually, the Skybreaker, the Confessor, the Guardian, of course, it all seems quite far out, so it's mostly going to be concentrated on those Fleet Tempests and the Sacrilege, but, I mean, they're pretty tanky as well. They won't really care too much.
Yeah, the interesting thing about using all your tackle wing to just screen off your enemy DPS, even though Felix is dipping into half armor here, that having so much effect, is that it leaves the rest of their tackle to move around free. Kamilizi and Frosty are now completely free, although Dark Hadron, you can see they're going into low armor. He's been caught and is taking a hell of a lot of damage here.
Yeah, completely contrary to my call. I thought they were going to focus on the Deacons, but perhaps they weren't able to get on the Deacons, and the Damnations and Sacrileges are presenting themselves. So this Sacrilege, now Felix, is just getting absolutely chunked. These two Fleet Tempests are parked up on top of him. J.A. Aloysius, who corrects me on the pronunciation of his name a couple weeks ago, and Ray Payson just parked up, absolutely blasting him. Once they finish with him, they'll see who's next on the chopping board.
Yeah, it looks like Dark Hadron was shot there because he was about 50 kilometers away from the Deacon, so almost completely out of rep range, and why he died so quickly. You can see here, though, Felix going into structure. This is a lot of DPS going off the field here for Of Sound Mind, and they're already struggling to break this tank. They need to be able to get on top of that Guardian somehow, and as their tackle gets whittled down here, it's going to be very difficult to do that. They've now got one less ship to screen off.
Yeah, I mean, Parkbank's still just absolutely comfortably, repping whatever's needed. He's got nothing remotely close to him, to be honest. This heretic of Kamiza, he's also sort of in the middle of nowhere. He should probably be on top of this Guardian and allowing his team to, try and break through this Guardian, because obviously without killing the Guardian, it's going to be a lot harder to kill the Fleet Tempest, the Sacrilege. I mean, anything really. I mean, they've got those three heretics. They had those three heretics, now just one. And they would have been able to potentially get on top of this Guardian. And I mean, Camis is going for him now, but it may just be too late already. I mean, Parkbank, there's nothing. Everything else is already tackled down. The Damnations and the Sacrileges would love to get on top of the Guardian, but they're already tackled as well. They're sort of counter-tackling each other with these Tempests and Sacrilege.
Yeah, and these ham sacrileges and ham damnations, they just don't apply enough to these frigates, skybreakers, confessors. They just can't break through them with the amount of DPS that they have on the field, and it's leaving them in practically such a vulnerable position here. The Fleet Tempests are sitting just outside of their tackle range, applying max DPS, and the hams just aren't even tickling them. You can see their JA taking a little bit of damage, but the Guardian isn't even bothering to rep him as another sacrilege goes down.
Yeah, I feel like that's the thing with this sort of Damnation Sacrilege comp. They've got a lot of EHP and they've got a reasonable amount of damage, but once you park up on top of something, you need to be able to kill it. If you can't kill it, you're kind of screwed, because you can't get away from it again and focus on something else. You can't really change your target call. There's no way to say, okay, guys, we made a mistake. We need to kill something else, because you're stuck in place. You've made that call. You've committed to it, and the enemy team have said, well, okay, cool, we'll take that.
Yeah, we did just see a
prevent
last
you from doing
final
anything else.
gasp there from the Of Sound Mind team. Kamazi and followed behind him by Aneurysm made a play onto Parkbank in the Guardian, but they just weren't able to get there in time. The two Stabber Fleet issues of Ragnar and the CEO's CEO were able to screen them off and just close that fight out pretty much. It's all over from here. It's now just a question of if they can kill those damnations before time runs out, and with 5 minutes left on the clock, it seems rather likely.
Yeah, I had a little chat with JA about the Stabber Fleet issues, and I generally think Navy cruisers. I think they've got a 1 point reduction compared to previous years. I think there's a handful of Navy cruisers that could actually be pretty good. I think the Osprey Navy could be fairly good. I think the Augeron Navy, obviously with its insane HP bonus, could be fairly good. But I think the Stabber Fleet issue, apart from literally triggered using it, has somewhat flown under the radar a little bit, because it's fast. It gets, I believe, 6 low slots, so it can get fairly tanky. It's got a couple newts. It's got 4 mids, I think, for tackle. It's sort of, it kind of fills the role that the Vedmak does. I remember last AT Vedmak was 4 points. I think I've talked about it a little bit before. It was insanely overpowered for the point cost. Stabber Fleet issue kind of does the same thing. It does reasonable DPS. It's got newts. It's got tackle. It's kind of tanky. And yeah, it's probably a pretty fun ship to fly as well. These guys just flying around, getting on top of whatever they need to. Yeah, we're seeing the Stabber Fleet issue used to great success by this team here.
Yeah, it's obviously the Vedmak got bumped up to 10 points this year, nearly a 150% increase from the last Alliance tournament. Where do you think that the points kind of should be on that ship to make it allow it to see use over something like the Stabber Fleet issue?
I'm not sure. I think 10 is too expensive, and I think 4 is obviously too cheap, because 4 is on par with other Tech 1 cruisers like the Vexor. 10, it's not going to get used. Because for some of these ships, like, I mean, cruiser hulls, you can get a hack for 12 points, right? So, I mean, if it's Tech 1 resists, sure, it can do a lot of damage, but if the opponent chooses to kill it and it hasn't got the resist to survive, then it's not going to get to apply that damage. Like a Sacrilege, I mean, we saw them get melted in this match, but in general, a Sacrilege will pump out 400 DPS, let's say, for a much longer period than a Vedmak is going to do 600, because the Vedmak's just going to die and the Sacrilege is going to live. So to answer your question, I think try it in the middle. Maybe 7 points for a Vedmak as well would be okay.
Fair enough. Well, that's the match over. It looks like with 3 minutes left on the clock, of Soundmind have finally passed away, literally Triggered taking this very cleanly with 100-1. So let's head back to the studio and get prepared for the next match.
Very well played.
Pew, 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 pew. Pew, pew, pew.
So the plan is that we execute a star formation with perfect 90-degree angles. You need to heat 2 cycles, not 3, 2. Spipple's web, but the Spipple's web. And we need do we need missiles or missiles? And we need thermal drone.
HiSec Buyback offers 90% JITA anywhere in HiSec. Simply go to hisec.evebuyback.com, appraise your items, create a contract, and get paid quickly.
And Literally Triggered once again shows that the Stabber Fleet issue is the best and most meta of all AT ships, beating Soundmind quite soundly 100-1. Now, this does mean that Soundmind will be playing one more match today as we do a winners match and then we do a quote unquote losers match. So Soundmind will be going up against whoever loses in Test Alliance Please Ignore versus Odin's Call. Literally Triggered is going to be doing a best of 3 versus whoever wins between Test Alliance and Odin's Call. And Wingnut was begging and pleading for me to give it to him as soon as this was over. And so therefore I'm going to pass this off to Wingnut right now, who wants to talk about Tempest Fleet issues and screening.
Mate, I gotta say, I hope, against all hope, that was intentional. Them sending Tempest Fleets in is actually kind of reminiscent of the happened in the AT feeders earlier on a month ago. They charged Tempest in knowing that Soundmind would just go for it. They would go, oh, there's Tempest right there, let's get him. They set their entire core after the Tempests. And that just left the Stabber Fleets just to have fun. They went around killing everything because all the ships that could have actually tackled them or tackled the Guardian went directly for the Tempests. Because Tempest just knew, we're not going to die, we've got a Guardian backing us up. And they just yeeted it. It was so good. I was just loving it because I knew what was going to happen there. And of course, later on, they noticed that they can't do anything here, so they started to separate. And by that point, Ponty grabbed the damnation. The Stabber Fleets had killed everything else. They were just done, dead in the water by that point. So that initial call to charge Tempest in, which, by the way, seems like a terrible idea. You've got range with Tempest. You can use it. Let them come to you. They deliberately went in, and the enemy saw that and went straight for them. Also, I need to just quickly put shade over at Bazza. He said Stabber Fleet has a newt slot. It does not. What are you doing, sir?
He's admitting that in Twitch chat, which is the most shameful of all places to be.
I need to say it out loud. He needs to hear it.
All right.
Yeah,
That's fair.
Perfect
Okay.
call there. That was a beautiful play from that team. I'm so happy. That was perfect.
Yeah, that's my bad on that one.
Yeah, I threw together a Stabber Fleet issue fit just to kind of. We talk about it so much, but I don't think we've ever actually seen their fit. It does look like they get about 500 DPS cold, and they can have 74-75% Omni resists before links, which is pretty good. One of the things with AT is your EHP doesn't necessarily matter as much. It's more your resist profile, just because of the way logistics works. But we've seen Literally Triggered bring a Guardian every single time. Does anyone want to talk about a Guardian versus an Oneros or a Guardian versus 2 Deacons?
Yes, and the main thing that you get with the Guardian is that you get a lot more tank, but you're sacrificing a little bit of mobility, and basically you're sacrificing one of your mid slots, which means you either lose out on capacitor, your ability to move around properly, or your ability to defend yourself against ECM slash center damps. So basically, you're sacrificing everything to be as survivable as possible. It's really interesting, and you also do potentially get the option to feed cap to people, although that's less used. At least in my experience these days, they perhaps a more modern captain can speak to that.
Yeah, you could. I don't know if you necessarily would. It does have the ability to completely negate newts. So if you did in fact have a guardian with even a single medium cap transfer on it, that could be a meta idea if you think the other team's bringing they're going to bring a guardian or a Balgorn or a curse or something like that. You could be like, yeah, well, or not a guardian, a Armageddon, Balgorn, or curse. Like, well, I brought a guardian with the cap transfer, so suck it up. But that gets into that really crazy weird meta plays, which we've seen that happen before, where teams have completely countered the other guys by, say, stacking tracking disruptors in ECM versus Lashaks, and we've seen it happen the opposite direction, where people have stacked jams versus drone comps, and then being like, oh crap, we made a mistake and now we're dead. So gets kind of weird. Eve is weird.
Eve is indeed weird, and what is also in particular weird is this matchup, because we have two teams from very different ends of the universe. We have Odin's Call, who are kind of like an old school wormhole AT team, going up against Test Alliance, who obviously are a massive solve-holding entity.
Are they still a massive solve-holding entity?
Test? I'm pretty sure they still hold solve, right?
Don't make the people angry. Calm down.
Okay. Wait, you're the one who was just sitting on there, just dumping and pushing their nose into the pile.
Well, now I'm on Team Test now. I'm in their good books now because I don't know.
Gotcha. So by winning, they've redeemed themselves, and at
They've
least
redeemed themselves,
the
and
basilisk's mine.
Yeah, therefore I'm supporting them now, and they wouldn't hate me for supporting them now, right? I forgive them their sins, so they forgive me for mine.
Test does not forgive, and Test does not forget. But
we all just know that Bazza is secretly tsundere for Test Alliance. Please ignore.
Can we not have anime words in Twitch chat? Thank you. That's how you get banned permanently. Well, yes, we do have Test Alliance versus Odin's Call. Like I said, the winner of this will be moving on to a best of 3 versus Literally Triggered for all of the glory and all of the marbles and 500 plex and a ship skin. The loser of this will be going up against Sound Mind in a best of 1 to decide who is the biggest loser. Not really. It says who's third place, which is totally cool thing. And I think that I'm gonna totally throw this one over to Bay. I believe we've been tracking everybody's progress over the last couple opens, right? Are we gonna do some kind of final top team tournament at the end?
Oh yeah, like a winners only opens invitational type thing. Stuff has crossed my mind. Yeah, we're looking at doing that. He definitely wants to give. We haven't decided on the exact format for that and how it's going to work yet, or whether or not we think teams will actually show up to an invitational a week before the main tournament. But certainly going to do something interesting. We're going to give a prize for the teams that have scored the most points. I'll pull up a spreadsheet shortly, probably in between the next match, and show you points-wise how they're getting on. The teams that signed up for the opens. We're giving them sort of 10 points for the team that wins one of these opens, 5 for the runner-up, 4 and 3 for the bronze medalists, and then 1 if the team just completes their first match. So we are adding up the points, and I'll show you a spreadsheet shortly how that's getting on.
Well, we have time. We still have several matches left, so I'm sure at some point the spreadsheets can be shown. The favorite thing of all Eve players. Yeah, but we do have the next team sort of setting up, and I think something important to know. We always talk about this after the fact, but I have time this time, which means I'm going to talk about it before. Whichever team loses this match actually has another match within the refs are saying we're going to try and get it within 15 minutes. So that's kind of a double incentive to not lose here, because if you lose, you're getting thrown straight back in, and the stress and having to pick setups and get ready to go in less than 15 minutes is never something anyone ever wants to see. So try not to lose. Losing is bad for so many reasons. You heard it here first. And we have seen both teams enter local. Bazza is simping for Test. Jen, what are you thinking?
I think I'm going to be contrarian and go for Odin's Call here. They're an old school team. They've got a lot of tricks up their sleeve, and Test Alliance have no reason to try and win, as you talked about earlier.
Oh, yeah, they're an 8-man team, aren't they? Oh no, this may not end well. I mean, unless Testers manage to scrape together 2 more people, say, "Come on, guys, we won the first match. Come on, get in here."
Hey,
Or
they had 8 men
what if
before.
I was going to say, what if that 8-man setup is like the new meta?
What if
we've
that
been
is
wrong
the elite,
for years?
the ultimate elite comp that nobody else is showing? Just tell 2 people to go away. We haven't got space for you anymore.
Less support ships to lose, more big ships to bring in.
If you bring small stuff, it dies. So just only bring big stuff. Big brain, galaxy brain strategies here from Test Alliance.
Checkmate, fly killers.
Battleship brain.
They've figured it out.
They brought 9, so they've got 1 more person. If they win this, maybe they can reach the fabled
Out
10.
of my dumpster somewhere.
Yeah,
Get it
Test
as a
has
team, mate. Come on.
I guess spoiler, we haven't quite seen what they have yet, as they are starting to land just now, but they do
I
have
wasn't gonna
one
give
more
that away.
person. Oh no, it's okay. Do they have one more person? Are we just making that up?
Yeah, they have
Hold on.
9.
Yep, they got 9.
Wait,
All right.
I can count. Yeah, I can count. Yeah, good.
All right, cool. Let me see. I can't, but thankfully Eve usually counts for me, which is what really matters here. And as the teams begin to land, let's see. I don't know, Wingnut. I'm going to give you the choice. Who do you want to cast with you?
Do I get to choose?
Yep, you get to choose
I'm
because
allowed to
otherwise
pick-
I have to choose.
I'm not allowed to pick Bay, am I?
No.
Oh, Bay's busy.
Damn it. Alright, I'm gonna steal Jin. I want to hear
All
that
right.
sexy voice with me.
All right, let's go,
Perfect.
buddy.
All right, it'll be Jin and you, and we will be switching over to the arena as these last 2 ships land here, which means I think we're good to go, unless I'm miscounting, but that's okay. We'll swap over anyways.
No, because I was distracted with spreadsheets.
Oh my god.
stall for like
Baited,
5 seconds.
stalling
Say
for
something
5
really
seconds.
funny for 5 seconds.
Something really funny for 5 seconds.
Yeah, something really funny for 5 seconds. You can't put me on the spot like that. I'm not ready.
Okay, we're over.
Okay, welcome to the arena, ladies and gentlemen. After that wonderful stalling, it's the Commonwealth Connection here, Wingnut and Jin, and we are about to talk through this match. Test Alliance, please ignore, have brought a really cool setup here. Triple Hype and Neuros, Nurgle, Magus, Pontifex, Double Vengeance. What are Odin's Call flying here?
Yeah, well, normally the triple hype would be, the hypest thing around with the most DPS, but nope, they're coming up against Twin Leshak. So there's a little bit more hype and a little bit more DPS there, so that's going to make it a little more rough than expected. And of course, they've got an Armageddon backing up those Leshaks, as well as Pontifex, Double Deacon, Double Vexer, which are potentially good Newt boats, and a Skybreaker, because of course you got to have a Skybreaker. I'm just double checking as well. These Vexers are indeed entirely gunless, so that means they're either drone kite machines, Logi ball machines for some reason, or they are exactly what I think, and they are Newt boats. So add those Newts to that Armageddon and the Leshak, and you have a ridiculous amount of Newts against a triple hype blaster comp. That's not good. That's not looking good.
I really love the potential for these Vexers here to do dangerous stuff to this expensive Test Alliance support. That Nurgle in if he gets tackled down by any of those Vexers, those Newts are going to turn off his ADC, turn off his guns, and probably turn off his life before he even knows it.
And then our Neuros is going to have a hard time too. If these Vexers are not tackled or held down or go into the fight, they can chase that Neuros all day long. You're just going to see Neuros running for his life with 2 new Vexers on his tail. So this can go a lot of different ways for sure. It is definitely an uphill climb for Test at the moment, because they are outmatched in DPS as far as I'm aware.
Yeah, I think the big question here is what ship does Odin's Call feel comfortable sacrificing into the middle of those 3 Hyperions to stop them getting on top of anything expensive, anything that's going to potentially endanger them as this match goes on? Obviously, they want to pick apart one of those Hyperions, get the Leshaks not spooling onto him, whilst they keep the others impotent. And that's going to require them to win this tackle war as well. And that's going to be, they have a person advantage here. They have those Vexers. But Test Alliance are playing really defensively here with this opening, pulling back.
Exactly that. Pulling back, waiting for the right time. They are, honestly, need to be the ones that get into the fight at the right time. Because if they do it wrong, they're going to get neuted out real quick, and then these Leshaks are going to start pounding on them. They haven't got enough nuke pressure to really fight back. They've really just got maybe 1 heavy nuke each, but I'm suspecting at least 1 will have a smart bomb. So they have to pick the right moment and then just dive in and just send everything. Just send it as hard as I can. Vengeance at the moment being hit, I believe was that drones? No, I don't know what was hitting him. He's just getting scratched by someone. He's all good.
So you're seeing some really interesting positional play here with where, because the Hyperions are moving up and you can see that Aneros is already on top of the micro jump unit, the blue team here, Odin's Call, have had to move in a little bit because they have to respect the possibility of the Hyperions jumping on their backline. And that's forced them here towards the center of the arena, and the Vengeances are screaming back in to try and pick stuff off. But you can see there, it looks like Zale is caught. That could be a dangerous position for him.
And look at the second Vengeance of Party Boy going in. Nope, that's not the time, dude. Get out of there. The other Vengeance is dead. You're not going to gain anything by holding him down. Leave. They also sent a bunch of their light drones in as well to try and shoot a Vexor. Those light drones are just getting picked apart by the Skybreaker because, I mean, what were those light drones going to do? Zale goes down as expected. They just fed a ship with no real gain. I see a Vexor at the moment. Yep, tackling the Hyperion. The Vexor of Hoarder has gone in for it. Hodor. Not Hoarder. My bad. So here we go. Here's the big moment. They have to go in there. They can't get that Hyperion out. Now it's the time you go all in. And I think I see the Hypes turning about. Yep, here they come. The brawl starts now, and I don't think it's the best position for a test at the moment. Oh, sorry, Aneros MJD? Okay.
Yep, he's spooshed all the way through across the arena, but he's right next to something there. I think he is. No. He's managed to get away. But the Armageddon has newts onto him now. And it looks like the Vexor of Yokan, he's screaming towards him in the backline there, and it looks like he's going to make the intercept. I can't tell. I don't think his MWD's been turned off.
Magus Draconis looks like he was trying to go in there to try and support him, but nope, he's backed off as well. Maybe they think the Aneros can outrun the Vexor? Because if he does,
you can see the web, but it looks like he might be able to get away from it. It looks like Dante is going to be able to make it back to the Hyperions. He's going to be home free here, and the Vexor is going down.
That's a good start. They got rid of one of the Vexors. At the moment, what are the Leshaks even doing? I expect them to be in the fight already. They're a little bit further away and currently shooting the Oneros instead. Actually, they're going for the Logi trade first. Good call, I think. If you get rid of the Oneros, they can definitely beat these Hypes in a straight up brawl.
Yeah, you can see that Yokan is still able to hold on top of him, applying all those newts to that Aneros and really stressing his tank. It's not going to be long. Those Hyperions are pushing up. They're getting closer and closer and closer. And as you do, you can see that attack bar growing and growing. This is a really dangerous spot now for Test Alliance. Please ignore. They need to make a kill happen here somehow.
I like the call for them to go in and try and get rid of the Vexor to save their Aneros, but I would be honest, if I was in that situation, I actually would have gone for the Leshaks. The Leshaks are distracted. Their DPS is not on you. It is time to rip a Leshak apart before he can even stop you. But they're going for the Vexor. That's probably the smarter and more safer call there. If they can kill him and get their Oneros out of there, they can maybe hold on. Oh, no. He's gone. Not good.
No, this is going to be a really, really difficult match from here on out. You can see ships are going to start falling here very, very quickly as all that Leshak DPS just gets applied to it. The Hyperion local tank is going to be is still incredibly resilient, and there's a little bit of DPS going there on Dinar, but I think that's a mistake if that's Leshak spooling up on them. You want to just ignore them and pick apart all the support, leave them completely helpless, and then just kill them normally.
I don't know. I think at this point they're in a brawl. You got to go for Hyperion before he starts going for you because they are going too soon. They're still actually on the Vexor of all things, I think. That Vexor is managing to survive under 3 Hyperions, which is just insane. He should be dead. That's a T1 cruiser. He's starting to go low. Come on. Hyperions can kill that. What are you guys doing?
He's just proving that you don't need an expensive ship to win in the AT there, as it looks like he might die before the he might die at the same time as Danar and the Hyperion sitting there in structure now. I didn't even see a single rep fire. It's almost like he's given up.
Oria's got super newt. Don't forget, as Leshaks likely have newts as well, and the Armageddon is still on the field, providing extra suck power. So they could time those newts really well to just ruin the Hyperion's day. And one Hyperion's down. They're now on the Leshak, I believe. So now it's a race. And I think at this point, the Leshaks are ahead in this race.
Yeah, this is just really beautiful piloting. The only ship sacrifice there with the Vexors. Those are effectively just big tackle. Party Boy there in the Vengeance, another victim of the big suck, getting picked out in the back line by that Armageddon and then just slowly glommed onto by the rest of this Test Alliance support. Sorry, by the rest of the Odin School support.
And we see the Hyperion of Gene Starwin's currently moving in to smart bomb off rep drones, but I don't actually see the rep drones on that Leshak, so I feel like he's kind of wasting their smart bombs for now. As Aaron is about to go down, he's now in Hull. He's being neutered out. He's got some Logi drones on him, but it's not going to be enough. And down he goes. not looking good. That's
No, this is just
honestly
a really good play from Odin's Call, and it just shows you how critical logistics piloting is to the success of a team. You know, as you were talking about, if that Aneros had been able to slip away, and there was a moment where I thought he might be able to break it, because Yokan didn't take, pretend the best vector to intercept his line. He looks like he just clicked approach. He just wasn't able to make it. He wasn't able to heat enough, wasn't able to get away, and because of that, his whole team's game plan just cascaded around him.
Exactly, yeah. Like obviously, I had the thought of maybe going for the Lashaks instead because once the Oneros was caught, they committed everything to try and save him. But at that point, there was two Lashaks next to him. There was an Armageddon nuding him. There was obviously the Vexor still holding him. Honestly, even if they killed the Vexor, he was still stuck there. He was never leaving. So I think these teams kind of realized that a little bit too late, and now they've kind of suffered for it as their last Hyperion is going down. That's the last of their DPS.
Yep, and that pretty much marks the end of the match, though. It's not, we're going to talk a little bit, I guess, later on about how this match could have gone. But what I want to say is talk about that Nurgle a little bit. We've seen a couple of teams bring them. What do you think they really add to a team composition? What's the game plan for trying to use those things?
I'm going to throw shade and say there's nothing as far as I'm concerned. They have some use, but other ships do them better and probably for cheaper. I wouldn't bring a Nurgle. I see no redeeming qualities. Like I see no redeeming qualities in Triglavian Logi. They are heresy and should never be brought.
Yeah, and it looks like that statistic, it's 18-1 in however many matches that Black Bart Pirate had talked about before, and now it's going to be it's going to be 19-1. Test Alliance able to bring one undermanned victory earlier in the day, but not able to give us our second. So with that, Odin's Call will be moving on to the finals. It's going to be really interesting to see if they bring something like this again.
Yeah, Test gave him a good run for a while, but it kind of fell apart. And as you said, Odin's going to the finals now. That's going to be real interesting. I want to see what they bring up next because this Newt heavy comp was honestly going to be brutal to fight if they bring it again.
Yeah, one of the things though is that if you lose any of the main DPS parts of this composition, it is so fragile with only two Lashaks, and then you've got practically nothing. You've got the Armageddon drones and the Pontifex rockets and drones, and that's maybe 1,000 DPS between it.
Very much so. It is very risky. The one backup, of course, is you don't really need as much DPS if you have enough nuding power, which they do. But even then, like that is a lot of nuding power, but that's still the core of the cult comp is the Lashaks and then followed up by the Geddon. Like honestly, the Geddon is like their long range tackle in a way because of his long range newts. Vengeance just goes pop. There we go.
Yeah, and that is the game officially over with only 2 losses there for Odin's Call as they take this match. Let's head back to the studio and break it down.
We who have seen war will never stop seeing it. In the silence of the night, we will always hear the screams. So this is our story. Wolves amongst strangers.
Did you know that anything can happen in Eltric fleets?
I had a question time, but I couldn't jump. I'm jumping now.
Are you still shaving your balls? Jesus.
Wow, you must have some big balls, you.
Yeah, literally anything.
And with that, Test Alliance Please Ignore is going to be playing up against Sound Mind in the very near future. Unfortunately for them, they have about 15 minutes to decide whether or not they want to adjust anything, change anything, possibly find a 10th member, just saying, or dropped it back down to 8. Whereas Odin's Call is going to be in a best of 3 versus Literally Triggered. We got a lot of good information and this kind of ending of that match there, I think. There's a lot of commentary about the power of the Armageddon, the Lashaks. I just want to throw this out. Bazza, is there anything you saw that you were like, well, maybe if Test had done this, this would have been a total game changer for them?
I feel like it was a hard comp to begin with, obviously excluding the whole 9v10 thing. It's a hard comp, obviously, because their team comp with the 3 Hyperions is very new. it's very cap reliant, and facing up against the Newts on the two Lashaks and the Armageddon is always going to be tricky. But I think their best chance at victory there is trying to make a synchronized push, and Wingnut was shouting, send it, but they never really did in a sort of synchronized fashion. If all those three Hyperions can get on top of, I'm not sure if the Lashak or the Armageddon would be the best target, but if they can get on top of one of them and wipe them out, that would be a big swing. But they didn't really do that. The Hyperions sort of dithered, all one of them went in. I mean, the Vengeance went in at the start, not too concerned about that. The Oneros took the MGD. I'm not sure if he was tackled by the Vexor or saw the Vexor incoming or something and wanted to get away. But just focusing on the Hyperion play, they weren't really in sync. And I feel like those Hyperions need to just get on top of one of those battleships, one of the Newting battleships, and punch it, because you're not going to win the war of attrition against that kind of Newt comp when you're so cap reliant. You're not. The match isn't getting better from you. 3 minutes from now, it's not looking any better. It only goes downhill unless you take the initiative and do something. So they needed those Hyperions to break something. And it goes back as well to what we talked about before the match regarding Logi choices of Logi cruisers against frigates. The thing with Logi frigates is, and I haven't flown Logi frigates much on TQ. I don't think I've flown them at all on TQ actually, but I've flown them a little bit in scrims for tournament practices. The strength of the reps based on range is it's such a strong factor. You feel it, you really do. You're at 15k, yeah, these reps are awesome. You're at 30, oh wow, these reps might as well not be fitted, they're useless. And if you've got 3 Hyperions and 2 Lashaks and an Armageddon all bunched up on top of each other, it's very tricky for the Deacons to sort of navigate that battlefield. They don't really want to go in too close, because if a Hyperion grabs one and says, right, shoot that one, they die pretty quickly. Whereas the Oneros can be a lot safer in that situation. He can rep the Hyperions from quite far away, and he doesn't really have to enter that danger zone. So yeah, using that pressure, I feel like they could have been more decisive with the Hyperions, gone in and made that pick, used the overwhelming DPS to maybe before the Lashaks ramped or before they felt Newt pressure, but they just sort of dithered a little bit, and it was their undoing.
Yeah, so the problem they had was picking the time to go in. Like, when do you go in where we have the advantage on these Lashaks? And as far as I saw, the moment was when the Lashaks actually caught the Oneros. Like, okay, he's caught. They are obviously going to kill him. Then we have maybe 30 seconds to a minute to shoot this Lashak as hard as we can before he changes onto us. And if he does change to us, great, the Oneros might survive and rep us. I feel like that was the moment to go for it, but they just kept focusing on this one Vexor the entire time until the Hyperions died. That's overcommitting a bit to a ship that doesn't really matter.
Yeah, and the strength of the Vexils, as you mentioned, is the Newts you can fit to them. But once the Oneros is dead, you don't really care about the Vexils too much anymore. I mean, sure, they've still got those Newts, but the Armageddon and the Lashaks still exist. They are still there. They're still zucking you for way more. I would like to talk a little bit about how sort of the effects of Newt sizes, because a lot of people think, oh, heavy Newt, they're awesome. Woohoo, just whack the heavy Newt on the Deacon and the Deacon's got no cap, but the Deacon just cycles his cap booster. And the cap booster cycle time it's pretty easy, to be honest. It's pretty easy to see you've been sucked by one heavy Newt cycle and just cap back up. Obviously, if you've got an Armageddon, it may be a little more tricky with multiple heavy Newts. But yeah, I mean, I think
time
small,
on a heavy Newt is 24 seconds.
24, I believe, yeah. So I think the sort of value of small and medium Newts is in a lot of cases undervalued to some degree, because the cycle time means the ability to keep something actually dry for an extended period can be very, very helpful.
Well, I definitely think that there's an opportunity there, but like you said, Newts are strong. We do see some really crazy stuff happening with small Newts and medium Newts, especially on like a small ship. So yeah, heavy Newt, it cycles every 24 seconds, and you can dead cap any frigate or cruiser, but within that window they can actually cap back up, where like if you get a Vexor on top of your Deacon, you're kind of screwed there.
Yeah,
we do actually have these standings for the overall Alliance tournament opens, so we can kind of see who's been doing really well. I think we're 4 weeks in. Obviously not every single team competes every weekend, but what we're seeing is Deepwater Hooligans has actually been doing a really good job, and I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's 10 points if you win the overall weekend, it's 1 point if you win a match, and then it is somewhere between 3 to 5 depending on your placing. So we see that Deepwater has won one, and I think they got second or third place, something like that. We're going to continue doing this at least for the next couple weekends. Obviously, the Alliance tournament is 5 weekends away, which is super cool and exciting. And I think we're going to see, hopefully, if there's interest in it, we'll try and do like a a top teams final. Obviously, the closer we get to the actual tournament, the less likely some of these teams are going to want to practice because they don't or want to show their stuff on Twitch in front of several hundred people.
Yeah.
Could you perhaps call it a closed open PvP?
Yeah, I mean it is. So if I guess for those who are watching, if you have a team that you want to try, I believe you message you message General Stargazer and your name goes into the pot. If we have over 8 teams applying, we randomly decide who is going to be showing up on each weekend. I want to say we usually have somewhere between 10 to 12 to 16.
Yeah.
The first weekend, I think it was the 8 we chose. So yeah, why am I saying this? Bay knows everything.
Yeah, no, you're saying it like very well. Basically, so the way General Stargazer does it is that if you get picked one week, then you're deprioritized for the next week. So keep the more you sign up, the more likely you are to get picked. And then we're just counting up the points for fun as we go along. But like BVP said, we are thinking about doing sort of like an invitational at the end for the top 8 teams to see who is the best of the Open Series. So yeah, it's pretty fun so far.
Yeah, I've personally been enjoying it. Everyone else is contractually required to say that they've been enjoying it, so they all love it too. But since we do have a little bit of time, as we do not want to force, basically we don't want to force Test Alliance to have 5 minutes in between their matches, since that's almost impossible to make work in EVE Online. We were going to do something extremely risky and dangerous, and take questions from Twitch chat for a little bit.
No.
Yes.
God,
so
no.
If you ask a question that is either really, really funny or not garbage, we will totally talk about it.
Here's your chance,
Throwing
boys.
that out there. Here's your chance.
Yeah, I know we took in a raid from a bunch of players who were watching an EVE University stream before this. So if you have any questions about the Alliance tournament format in general as well, this is a good time for that.
Yep, we've seen the type of questions I expected to see. It's good to see this is going.
Yeah,
as
this is
planned.
I wipe
perfect.
with my left
All right.
or my right hand. I wipe with my right hand exclusively.
Hey, don't feed him that stuff. We'll never get
All
him to
right,
stop.
I'm gonna go through a couple of them so we don't get too crazy. Eve personality is myself. Pineapple does not go on pizza. Chori is doing his thing.
Hey! Pineapple goes
Nope,
on pizza.
Pineapple
what are you
does
talking
not
about?
go on pizza.
It's the
And now let's go
superior
to
topic.
let's go to
Musket
real
answer as well.
questions. Nope, we'll go to real questions for you
They're
guys.
they're clearly trying to split us up with these questions.
Yeah, what's the favorite comp that you guys have seen so far? We'll start with that one.
I like the literally triggered one that they keep showing. I mean, it seems to be working. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. They've got lots of variations on it. They've got the stab of fleet issues. It's pretty cool. I like it.
Yeah, it feels like a variation on the old school like Typhoon fleet issue composition that we used to see back when Rapid Heavies were a little more powerful.
It just feels quite versatile, like not only in terms of they've clearly shown that they've got a bunch of variations and they can adapt to bands and stuff and, put in the Nurgle or 2 stab of fleets or whatever, they can mix and match. But in terms of what the comp brings, it's got control from newts, it's got plenty of damage, it's got plenty of tank, it's got the Tech 2 Logi Cruiser, it's got plenty of tackle. It seems just fairly well rounded. I quite like it.
What do you guys think about Paladin NZ's question though? What is your favorite hull in the AT format? Is there any hull that you wish you could see use, but probably never will?
No, just Vindicator. It's only Vindicator. There's no other answer for that. Everyone loves a good load of DPS.
Yeah, dude, everyone loves a good load of DPS. I'm a big fan of rattlesnakes, but unfortunately, this year they are ridiculously high pointed, so I don't think we'll see very many of them.
Because they're OP like Gilas, mate. Don't you know?
They're OP, yeah.
OP, bruv.
Azure and Argent asks, should I put guns on my Skybreaker? For me, the answer is unequivocally yes. I think that's what the ship does. It zaps drones really, really, really well.
Yep, it does pretty well with it.
I think you should definitely be using that capacity of the ship.
That's a really good question. Because
I have no idea if that's the prevailing opinion.
Yeah, no, I think that's what my opinion is. For a while, I used to think you should put a NOS on, so you can't have it. You can't possibly ever get capped out. But yeah, guns on Skybreakers is pretty dang good.
Yeah, turn into a shield Punisher Avenger. You just can't really shake it until you kill it. But yeah, the guns are actually really good. You can actually play defensively with them now. Rip off drones coming after you, stuff like that. They're actually a lot more versatile. But you can still just throw them in as cheap ass tackle and get killed. So That's always nice.
Oh, I see we have a poll. Does pineapple belong on pizza?
Yeah, I saw somebody asked, has Triple Hyperion actually worked in the last few weeks? I think we've seen it win a few times, and we've seen it lose a few times, which is not a good answer, but like it has worked a few times. It's not a bad setup. It's a ton of DPS.
I think it's a comp that either wins very quickly or loses very quickly. There's no sort of in between. There's no, all the Hyperions are kind of going even. This one's still really close. Either you punch a hole in the opponent in the first minute, or you just kind of lose. Sorry,
Yeah.
Jim.
No, I was going to say pretty much the same thing. Well done.
I like this.
SMW has an interesting question as well.
I was looking at that too. I was like, I really like it. It's the what is a
You
comp
can't answer it though. You're still in the tournament.
Exactly. No, I'm not. I've officially stepped down for due to potential issues with me knowing things from this. Which means I can say whatever the hell I want now. Hot tub stream.
Doesn't get invited to the next team. Whoops.
So he says, what is a comp you are sure teams are keeping in their backhand for the real deal tournament?
Ooh, that's a good one.
It's a really good question. Unfortunately, the answer of this is
redacted.
We don't know. Well, we don't know, because if we knew what it was, then would they be keeping it in the backhand? I think that something that we really are not seeing a lot of are like really powerful. We haven't seen any good ECM comps.
Yeah.
We've seen a lot of ECM comps. So no, I say good ones. Not we've seen ECM comps. We haven't seen good ECM comps. So there's setups you can do with like rooks. There's setups you can do with widows that are actually strong. I think we've seen widows feed like super hard every single time, but that's what I'm thinking is good ECM setups that nobody's shown yet, because ECM is very, very hard to play. I know that people are going to hate that, but it's true. It doesn't work very well unless you know what you're doing. And that's the secret. That's the good stuff.
I think we're going to see a lot more kite control comps, for sure. Like, we saw a few hints of them in the feeders. We're going to see a lot of them, because you can just run away from stuff like this, the basic shield rush like that, and then just control your enemies what range you feel like. It also, with better parts, it becomes a lot better. So as these teams get towards the finals, we'll absolutely see them pull out a few more of those, I think.
And that leads to the interesting meta spot. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say, I've got a follow-up from that question is, if Bargast is not banned, do you think we will see it every time?
Unless someone shows a really strong counter, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so far we've seen Bargast not banned in 2 matches in the last 5 weeks, if you count the feeders, right? In those 2 matches, they were flown once.
Pineapple victory, mate! Pineapples on pizzas, we win! Sorry,
the sample size is too small, and
we won though. Doesn't matter. I don't care. Sorry, keep going. I had to cut him.
Anyways, yeah, pineapples are wrong. Yeah, we only saw Vargas. I think we've seen them once, right? And they lost. The one time we saw Vargas, they lost. Now, to be fair, should they have lost that match? No. Like, objectively, no. We talked about it during the thing. We were trying to be nice, but honestly, sorry, Test, you're a punching bag. They really fucked that matchup, and they should have won that one easily. But the one time we saw Vargas, they did lose. Other than that, they've been banned for, if we count these matches, like 70 matches out of 72.
Yeah, one of the things that I was going to say there is that in the discussion about how, eventually the meta sort of centralizes into armor control / anti-kite versus the kite setups. If that happens, the overall DPS that both of those comps put out is quite low. And that's the point where you might be able to sneak in a Tinker comp. And that is something we've not seen all feeders and all opens yet.
I actually asked Bay about this. One of these weeks, and we have no bans, just allow all types of energy transfers, just to see where it goes.
See, the thing is, you have like a lot of options in this current format to bring in large amounts of cap transfers because industrials are so low pointed.
Yeah, that's true.
Anyway, we've got one final question from chat before we go over to the arena, which is, what's the parrot's name?
Oh, that's a good question.
That is a good question. I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah.
The parrot is Black Bart Pirate, and the picture of the dude there is just cosmetic.
It sounds like we need another poll to decide this or something.
We do. It needs to be like a... How about this? You guys give names, and we'll pick the 2 best ones and do a poll on it.
Yes.
They have to be Twitch chat appropriate, which means they can be inappropriate but not too bad. I'm just saying that's the rules. Like we don't have our official Twitch lawyers here today, but
yeah, the first
there are
suggestion is
certain laws. The
Well,
parrot's name's Pizza. There you go.
I do see some teams in local.
Yes, that's what I was moving us to say that there are in fact teams in local now. So we have successfully stalled long enough, and we are going to be seeing Soundmind versus Test Alliance. Please ignore. They have not quite unlocked warping yet, which means they're going to be coming in. Which means we have about 30 to 40 seconds to decide who we think we're going to caster curse these. So whoever says it first, go for it.
Me.
God, you're good at this.
And you, Black Bart. No escape for you this time.
Shout out to
Yeah,
whoever's supplying the fireworks in our background, by the way. Shout out to you guys. It is a view of the G244
It's
Undock live.
G244. Come say g'day, you bloody nerds.
Yeah, it is live, so you can do all sorts of fun stuff. I guess I'll just go first then. So I'm thinking test here. I have cursed them. Done.
Yeah, I'll go test as well. I mean, maybe they can get that 10th man.
Well, I'll give Ali Aras a curse of her own then. I think of Sound Mind are going to win.
Wing nut.
Oh.
He's still thinking. He's thinking.
Uh,
It's the most informed decision that's ever been made.
No, he's sitting here. He's stalling until the teams land. He's trying to be sneaky.
Damn it!
He's spamming that D scan. He's spamming that D scan.
It's hard call for sure.
Pineapple
Tests have got great
parrot.
parts.
That's one suggestion.
Tests have got great parts and great ideas, whereas Soundmind, they've got the numbers. So it's like I don't know. I'm just gonna say Test because I think they can pull an undermanned again and win it.
They've got the numbers. I love it.
Hey, Eve is a +1 game. We all know this. And they have a +1. Therefore, they should win this. If they don't, I'm going to, well, just troll the hell out of them, I guess. I don't know.
Well, the teams are landing finally, which is super duper exciting. We're seeing at least one side. I think both sides are bringing something pretty new and different. New and different for today. How about that? Yeah. There's an Astarte, by the way. The Soundmind team is definitely different, which is always a super cool and exciting thing. So I love to see that. It looks like, is everybody here? It's always hard to tell because Test is
Yep.
Did they get a 10th? No, they didn't. Oh, they tried. It was so close. Yeah, we'll swap it on over. I guess Wingnut and me sounds good.
You're in.
Love it.
It was Baza.
Baza and Wingnut. Baza and me?
Yeah,
Baza
sure.
and me.
Yeah, whatever.
Baza and you.
Anyone. Someone talk.
Baza and me. All right. Sweet. We're here.
Yeah.
I'm
Hello.
here. You're here. Soundmind is here. Test is here. Test is bringing 3 Sleipnirs, 2 Cerberuses, 3 Garmers, and a Scimitar. Once again, going a little undermanned. Just for the audience's information, they are rapid light missile Cerberuses, and they are artillery Sleipnirs. So Test Alliance has chosen to bring a fly killer setup. We will see how well it performs, since they also are missing rapiers, hyenas, all that kind of fun stuff. But it is very interesting. We have not seen this yet. Test has a massive amount of alpha and range and kiting powers. How well do you think that's going to go up against Soundmind's team, Baza?
Well, Soundmind have brought a fairly heavy top end with a Navy Armageddon, 2 command ships with the Astarte, the Absolution, and a Neuros and a Navy Orgor. And then their support wing, they brought 3 Heretics and 2 Vengeances, which Test will presumably hoping will eat shit immediately with those that fly killer setup with the Cerberuses and the Sleipnirs. So in about 10 seconds time, we'll see which of these Heretics and Vengeances is the chosen one to die almost instantly, assuming they don't need the application from the hyena or rapier or whatever that's missing to kill it. Let's find out. Match gets underway.
Not really sure how well it's going to work without the hyena and rapier. Hopefully, if sound gets going fast enough, they will not be able to headshot. But we do see a couple of the sound mine ships not moving particularly fast. The heretic is already losing its shields. The other heretic's losing its shields. A little bit of split DPS on that end. And Tess is kiting away, but their Garmers are actually ramming straight in, which, we'll see how long they last.
Yeah, I think that's a fair usage of the Garmers, though. Obviously, with their bonus scram range, they can probably get on, obviously very fast as well. They can probably get on top of pretty much anything, scram it down. And that enables the fly killers to function in effect without as much reliance on a web or paint. So I think that's a smart choice for this fly killer comp as a sort of substitute here. This Heretic of Felix is in fact eating shit. even without being scrammed or webbed or painted or anything, he is in low armor. He's getting reps from the Aneros, but I mean, is he going to hold?
I think he might. I don't know if they're taking any damage from the Sleipnirs. I don't think they're applying very well because he's moving so fast. And like I said, no webs, no paints. It's rough. The hyenas were banned, which does really hurt this comp quite a bit. But we'll see what they're able to do. Tess is doing a very good job of not getting tackled right here, which that's the key of this. Party Boy is dropping really fast here, though. That's the sacrifice has potentially been made by him.
Yeah, these Garmers seem to be just sort of trying to drive by scram. They're on the Augur on Navy and on the Vengeance as well. They're just going in, scramming in for one cycle and burning out again. Obviously, super, super fast. They can just go in, punch the scram from 15k away and then drift out again. So yeah, this Augur on Navy's Ali Aras is trying to get away, but sort of mixed degrees of success here. I think he's broken free somewhat. He's managed to get away from the Garmers. The Garmers don't really want to go in too close anymore with these heretics over there as well.
Yeah, Tessa's actually doing a really fantastic job, especially these Garmer pilots are doing a great job of just keeping a sound mind from ever getting on top of them. They're taking advantage of that bonus scram range very, very well, and we're seeing them do these little drive-by scrams, keeping stuff off them. But I need to see Tess put some damage out. Like, they're not really applying to anything, and I understand no webs, no paints kind of sucks, but maybe take some pot shots at that Oneros.
Cerberus of Gene Starwind has been caught now by this Vengeance, and that's not really where he wants to be honest.
Yeah, he was out a little bit ahead and taking a lot of damage now.
It was quite a tempered start from both teams, and both these teams somewhat lacking in control, just sort of pure DPS comps. But I mean, this could be what really kicks it all off. This Cerberus has been tackled down, and now the Garmers are in on the Vengeance. So yeah, everything's going to start tackling each other. The Vengeance may be the new primary here. They're spreading quite a lot of damage. Heretic and two Vengeances both getting chunked here. So Test are managing to sort of make a dent here.
Yeah, the Heretic of Ollie actually just popped his ADC. I was kind of zoomed in. So he's very vulnerable at this point, and Phoenix is taking damage too. I believe that this, the Party Boy's Garmer might go down, but I think Ollie is actually going to drop first here.
Yeah, he's gone.
Now, unfortunately, he was not the one tackling the Cerberus, so the Cerberus is still quite hard tackled. That is Phoenix who has the Cerb held down, and Party Boy is living to win
fine
still.
again. Yeah, he's so fast. He just doesn't. Nothing can keep him down for an extended period. He's just going in, he's tackling something, and he's going away again. He goes back in on Frosty, he collects some reps, and then says, "I'm going back in, boys. Wish me luck." Gene Starwinds does go down though, tackled in that Cerberus, caught out of position. Not a good place for him to be.
Yeah, it's unfortunately. I mean, the fate was sealed after a certain point there, but I don't know if that's really. I don't know if they can get this tackle down. There's a huge thing. Oh, Party Boy's dropping down into low armor already. That's not good. And the Scimitar has been webbed down of Dante, which that might be the end. Dante was actually off in a corner and got tackled by an Augur Navy issue. Not quite sure how that happened. It looks like Dante was trying to set up for an MJD, and he actually does MJD away straight to another beacon. Dante, amazing MJD play there, getting untackled. Fantastic job.
Incredible. Actually incredible. Good job. Holy moly. That's insane. I mean, I guess they just weren't really focusing on the Augur Navy issue. You see that thing, it's got a bulk of the HP. You don't really want to try and kill it immediately. So yeah, I guess they just kind of snuck through. But yeah, great job from Dante to get away. Although his shields are still going low, he does still seem to be taking a chunk of damage. These Astartes, Absolution, the Armageddon Navy, not having too much issue applying to him. And now he's going to be out-tracking these guns somewhat. But I mean, it's a dangerous place to be.
His MJD did take him towards the enemy team, but now he's very quickly MWDing away and should be able to pull out of range here. And we're just not seeing a lot of damage come out of Test. There's a huge amount of potential here, but the only thing they're really applying to is that Augur Navy issue. And this Scimitar, I mean, if he can prevent himself from getting tackled, he shouldn't die here, but he's also ramming an Armageddon Navy issue, which is a little bit of a weird call there, and I think we're actually seeing him get tackled because of that.
He is now webbed, yeah. Oh, no, he's grappled. He's dropped the web, but but it's grapple at 1 kilometer range, so now he's
grappled,
but screwed.
Yeah.
Now he's screwed, for sure.
Hey, he did such a good job flying away and then just rammed an Armageddon Navy issue. It's like, come on, buddy, that's not what you do in a Scimitar.
But it's tricky. I mean, if you've got to mash that MJD beacon to get away from the Augur Navy that's got you tackled, are you really? I mean, you should. Ideally, obviously, you can pick exactly where you want to go, but you can't always play it perfectly, and it's tough. He got the jump off, which was good, but unfortunately, where he landed up was not so good.
Yeah, and he does go down, and Test is just not getting damage out. These, the problem with these Sleipnirs, they look so good damage-wise on paper, but we're in Modern Eve. Tracking is very much a thing still, and they're just having trouble hitting anything, unfortunately.
of extreme importance is that the Garma of Draconis Krapari has died to the boundary.
Yep, that is also a way to pilot. I'd really like to see some of these Garmers just like, say screw it and go tackle some stuff and maybe try and get the Sleipnirs to alpha a couple of the small ships off the field because that could be the difference here. But go for that Oneirus, do something. Come on, guys.
Yeah, I feel like that would have been their win con here. I mean, the Sleipnirs obviously aren't. They should be able to not get caught by the Armageddon and the 2 command ships. They should be fast. They should be more agile and more maneuverable. So killing the small ship in this fly killer setup is probably their win con, but they seem to lack the control here, like we were saying before the match, without a hyena or a rapier, etc. Yeah, it's tricky. The Garmas are sort of their only real control in this setup.
Well, yeah, and with the most of the Garmers down, there's no more screening, and so Zale actually gets hard tackled here by the last remaining Vengeance of Sound Mind, and I don't think they're going to be able to clear the Vengeance off in time. And unlike usual, when you tackle something with the Sleipnir, the Sleipnir can just turn his autocannons on you, but this time it's, what are you going to do? Artillery at close range? Yeah, okay. Good luck.
Yeah, and when this Sleipnir goes down, obviously there's no real hope of killing anything else yet. So Of Sound Mind are going to probably, almost certainly, claim 3rd place this week. Commiserations to Test, of course, they fought valiantly. An epic turnaround in that first match. Only 8 men, of course, against the 10 man of, was it Turbo Feed or Glory, I think, and then Brett managed to scrape together an extra guy coming as 9 man, not giving up. Respect for that. But yeah, this is unfortunately where it ends.
I hate to say it, but I think if they had run that same 8-man setup back, they probably would have won this one just from the Lashak DPS and Balgorn. And I do want to say a huge shout out to the Sound Mind team coordination and piloting. So Phoenix's Vengeance went in and tackled the Sleipnir and then held him until the Navy Armageddon of Dark was able to get on top of him. And then the Vengeance pieced out and started making sure to mitigate again. So like we're seeing some pretty good coordination on the Sound Mind team. They're definitely communicating very well. It's like, okay, I'm tackling him until you get tackled, and then I'm going away again just to keep their small ships alive. So they're definitely taking this as a really good opportunity for some serious pilot practicing, even though the match is effectively over at this point.
Yeah, it's good to see. It particularly grinds my gears when you have 3 people tackling the same target. Use your time effectively. Every second is important. If your battleship's parked up and he's tackled something, you're free. You can go do whatever you want. As long as you're not counter tackled, you can go get on the next thing and serve him up on a platter, which this Vengeance of Phoenix is now doing. So good job to him. He's picked out the Cerberus of Dinar and he's just parked up on top of him. Hey guys, come over here. I got another one for you. Come and kill him. And I'm sure the Navy Armageddon and 2 command ships will happily oblige.
Yeah, Navy Geddon. Okay, so this is a ship we don't see a lot. Do you think the Navy Geddon was like effective here, or do you think they might have brought it just for memes?
I'm not sure, to be honest. Like we said, we don't really see the Navy Geddon too often. The one main benefit it does have is the activation cost on its guns, and obviously having 7 guns. It's a pretty good DPS boat, but I'm not sure about the benefits over just having like an Abaddon and spending the 2 points elsewhere. Yeah, I don't know. To be honest, I don't think we've seen enough of them to judge. They don't get any projection or application bonuses, so unlimited mid slots only 4 as well. So if you've got, say, prop mod, cat booster, maybe you can get 1 tracking computer and a web or something. But not the best Navy battleship. I'll say that. I think probably not the best. Probably Scorpion Navy probably takes that mantle.
That's pretty fair there. It was definitely an interesting choice. Like I said, I think that there was some potential on Test Team, which we'll definitely talk about in a couple seconds here. But at the end of the day, of Sound Mind does end up taking this 80 points to 4. So that secures Sound Mind as our 3rd place team, Test as our 4th place team. And soon, up and coming, we're going to find out who is 1st and 2nd.
Stay tuned.
Pew, 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 pew. Pew, pew, pew.
So Okay, so the plan is that we execute a star formation with perfect 90-degree angles. You need to heat 2 cycles, not 3, 2. Spipple's web, but the Spipple's web, Spipple's web. And we need do we need missiles or is that missiles? And we need thermal drone.
HighSec Buyback offers 90% JITA anywhere in HighSec. Simply go to highsec.evebuyback.com, appraise your items, create a contract, and get paid quickly.
And with that of Sound Mind, it beats Tusslines Please Ignore of Sound Mind taking 3rd place, Tusslines Please Ignore taking 4th place. We will have Literally Triggered versus Odin's Call for our finals in a best of 3 coming up in about 5 to 10 minutes, but Wingnut feels extremely passionate about the test team. In fact, you could say he's passionate about test in general, filled with passion. Wingnut, tell me all about your passion for test.
All right. Well, I would like everyone in the class to open their textbooks to page 2. This one is titled "How to Not Bring a Boom Headshot Comp Without Support," because you do not bring Artie without any way to apply. And yes, I know Garmas are cheap. I understand that you like to bring them, but remember that those drive-by scrams do nothing to help application. In some ways, they actually hurt because they turn off their signature. You do not bring Boom Headshot without a Hyena or a Rapier or a Loki or just anything. I'll take a Punisher with a web. Anything. You do not bring that comp. I legit, the moment I saw that warp on grid, got up and left. I got up and grabbed my drink, grabbed some food. I just knew what was going to happen because they have nothing. All they had to rely on was one lucky shot at the start. Please, don't bring it. Don't. And someone please tell me if I'm right or wrong there, because I feel so strong about that one. That wasn't going to work.
I just want to be able to buy Wingnut's textbook on Alliance Tournament. I wish that was a real book.
We can make it happen, baby.
Web drones.
The
What do you think of
EVT
web
publishing deal
drones?
coming to a store near you soon.
I'm just kidding. Don't use web drones either. I mean, actually, no, I'm in the tournament. Do use web drones. Everyone use web drones. They're really, really good. And make sure to forget to bring Logi drones as well. Okay, Logi drones are really bad. Leave them at home. Bring web drones. They're the meta.
I don't think web drones are that bad. I know you guys are not liking them, but I don't know. I saw
they are generally terrible.
Web drones
they might
good
be
against bad.
They might be in this meta, but certainly in other tournaments, they've definitely been very useful. Particularly like the 5v5 championship we did years ago. Teams definitely made really good use of them against like the Scythe and stuff like that. So I think they have the place. I don't think you can write them off completely.
Not in Alliance tournaments, but they actually have a place in like 1v1s and 2v2s. But this is not that situation.
Yeah, I think that web drones are primarily good against teams that are like bad to begin with. Like if you're not paying attention to the drones that are on grid and what that tells you about your opponent's like game plan and what they're trying to execute on and reacting accordingly, you're not a good team.
I just want to quickly reply to someone in chat. It's not about Garmas being bad. They are actually great ships, but they are not providing any application to you. They are providing at best a drive-by scram. Whereas, for instance, in other situations, a Hyena provides long webs and paints. Even a Cruel provides webs and some newts. Garmas are great. They provide a good amount of stuff, but they do not provide what that comp needed. That's why I'm saying they're not a bad situation.
Unfortunately, this week the Hyena is banned. So let's just do some quick sort of back of the envelope theory crafting. How would you change that comp wing? You've got 9 pilots to work with. Let's say you get rid of the Garmas. You've got 6 points. What else would you switch around to get some application in there?
Just some rough guesstimate. This is, of course, not knowing the points at the top of my head. Downgrade Cerberuses to Orthruses. Potentially try and remove those Garmas for maybe a Rapier and to put them in some 1-point ship. I'll even take a Cruel or even a Punisher with a web, mate. Like legit.
Yeah.
It just needs something. Anything.
Still, we have the teams. We have the teams for the final entering local here. So, do you guys have any predictions as to what ships we might see given these bans in the finals?
I'm fairly confident we'll see a Stabber Fleet issue. Seeing as literally trigger to play, I think it's quite likely. I think we might see a Tempest Fleet issue as well. We might even see Parkbank in a Guardian, which would be mind-blowing, to be honest, seeing as he's flown it countless times before. But, I mean, it's possible. If we're lucky, we might get treated to another Parkbank Guardian masterclass.
I'm just going to say, actually, I've been really enjoying watching him fly. Like, he's making very few mistakes, which is really difficult in Logi because you're doing multiple things at once. Not only are you flying your own ship, you've also got to keep track of your entire team and their hit points in order to get those reps to land. So a solo logistics ship piloting in the 8 Alliance tournament is a really, really hard job. And shout out to that guy. He's been pulling it off really well.
Not to mention as well, the Guardian's kind of like the Oneris is more self-sufficient than the Guardian is. The Guardian's pretty great, but it has suffered some cap issues and other various issues. So being able to do it in that is honestly even more ballsy to me. Like, bravo for that.
Well, he's able to survive so easily too, because like the thing about Guardians that sort of generally makes them, quote unquote, worse than an Oneros is that their ability to like kite away or avoid getting tackled is generally lower. But if your entire team is like really good at screening everything, it kind of works out. So he's making magic happen because he's a good pilot, but also his team's doing a really good job of keeping people from jumping on top of him and killing him. But I took a little break. I had to run to the restroom, but don't worry. I listened to everything you guys said thanks to the power of wireless headphones. And luckily, I'm back just in time because the teams are warping in right now for the first of our best of 3.
Ooh, I'm excited. I'm already excited.
While waiting for them to hit grid, Zombie Stew 3, YZO, Dark Pit 45, and Trigger Happy TV. Thank you very much for the subs. Much appreciated. All goes in the pot, pays for things like the server and various bits and bobs that we need. So thank you very much for that.
Legends
pays for the even tea bikinis that will be used during the hot tub stream.
Do you know what? I think someone has actually someone mocked one of those up as a joke, I think, and they have actually been produced as a real garment. I know that Kyle definitely ordered one of the Event swim trunks, which is so
perfect. Well, while you guys think about that longingly, and everyone is inspired and titillated, in fact, by the idea of Event swim trunks, we will actually swap over because the teams are here and we can start talking about them right now.
We're over.
But who is talking about them?
Whoever wants to talk about them. You can talk about them. I can talk about them.
I'll talk about them. All right. Well, we have very interesting Twin Raven, Twin Nighthawk, and then Svipple double Jaguar, double Scalpel comp. Hello? I don't know where the Jaguars came from, but on the other side, we have the Scorp Navy double Slipnir Scimitar comp with double Orthrus, double Flycatcher, and double Skybreaker. So, very interesting matchup here. Ravens and Nighthawks. That's a combo I haven't seen before. Who wants to join me on this?
Bazza wants to join you. I'm assigning him.
It's unusual, for sure. The Jaguars. I mean, Jaguars and Spipples, they're probably just Ram Jags, to be honest, and just park up. I think they get more sort of buffer than Hawks. Although the Hawk gets an ASP bonus, I think you fit an MASP and it gets more totally HP. But
am I going mad? Is this the first time we've seen Nighthawks?
I think this is the first time we've seen Nighthawks today. Yeah.
Well, yeah. Sorry, today.
And the first time
let's
this
be
hasn't
real.
brought us a Stabber fleet today.
Yeah, no Stabber fleet. That's the absolute curveball here. Parkbank is not in a Guardian, and we haven't got Stabber fleets either. So it's real crazy stuff going on here.
I would also like to state for the record that these are Torp Ravens. So, yeah, that's a thing.
We have been bamboozled, hoodwinked.
So I think, given that information that these are Torp Ravens, I haven't checked, but I'm assuming these are going to be Ham Nighthawks. I think the most critical thing here is this play of these Jaguars and Spipples. And the match does get underway, but if these Jaguars and Spipples can get on top of something, they will be critical for the Nighthawks and Ravens to actually deal any damage. If the Spipples and Jaguars die, it's going to be very difficult.
I want to put a bet out. The first thing they're going to grab is that Scorp Navy, who is the slowest of the bunch and is running for his life. Let's just see if they go straight past him. I think they're going to go for him, but they might go for something else. Seeing some, actually going for the Sleipnir at the moment. Sleipnir of Le Peche Pichi.
Having said that, I mean, having your tackle and your application be so critical on 2 Spipples and 2 Jaguars is really not a good place you want to be when you're up against this comp of the 2 Orthruses and the Sleipnirs and Flycatchers. As this first Spipple of Michael Renner goes down, he just gets volleyed. It's really not good.
Yep.
It's really, really not good. It's not what you want because you haven't.
caught nothing
they're so critical to you fulfilling the aims of your comp of pumping the damage from the Nighthawks and the Torp Ravens. If you can't catch anything, you can't do that.
Yep, and both Jags got caught. The other one's been caught and held down. I actually see a bunch of fly catches as well. I think a Skybreaker currently holding him, keeping him separate. The Sippo's also been screened somewhat. I haven't seen anything to actually tackle for the big stuff. I think a Sleipnir has been webbed. Yep.
Yeah, Tiger Van is webbed. They are burning in. I mean, they've caught little bits here. They've caught the Sleipnir, but I'm not sure if it's going to be enough. The Scalpel now is webbed. This is one of the weaknesses of these Logi frigates is they have to get into a dangerous position. And Rye face and just goes, boom, he's gone. Just like that.
Yep. They've managed to screen this rush really well. I'm trying to see where the Ravens even are. It looks like they're about to be on the Scorp Navy. It looks like they're going for something else. I think they're going for the Sleipnir again. I'm confused what they're going for at the moment. They're still charging in, so just watching and waiting. I think the Ravens... Where is he? Okay, he's going for the Sleipnir. Okay, Ravens are going on the
Sleipnir, but I feel like they definitely could have started applying damage to that Sleipnir maybe 20 seconds ago. I mean,
Yeah,
they've had him webbed for quite a while. He is absolutely melting, but I mean, they're going to need to get on something else quickly as well.
They have traded pretty much their entire backline for them. The last two Jaguars are still alive. The Sippo's still alive, but they are going to be dead soon. That Sleipnir, though, wow!
Yeah,
Just
the Sleipnir is
getting
absolutely
ripped
melting.
apart.
But they've already lost 2 of their 4th tackle ships. This Sipple and Jaguar need to get on something else right now. Jaguar of Psychokashi's burning out. He's going to try and get on top of the Sleipnir of Lepesh Peachy, I think. Lepesh Peachy's trying to dodge him, but he does, I think, get on top of him just
They
about.
are avoiding the Scorp Navy. Like, the Scorp Navy's right next to one of the Nighthawks, and they're just ignoring them. They've taken our lesson to heart from the last time and just not bothering.
I think that's a good call. I think that's the right decision here. I mean, the Nighthawks and Raven now are just going to turn around, get onto Lepesh Peachy and try and punch through him in the same way they did on the first one. The Navy Scorpions just got so much HP, but that Jaguar does go down, so it's all on this Svipple now. And they've got no Logi frigates either, so as soon as this Svipple dies, there's not going to be any tackle left.
Exactly that. And one of the Ravens actually just
not
tackled and held away.
He's not even on the Sleipnir. He's not even on the Sleipnir.
Yeah. The Raven of JA, I can't even pronounce that name. Is kind of
Aloysius.
Sure, he's being screened away from this fight by the Scorpion Navy. So he's trying to shoot and help out against the Sleipnir, but at the moment he's being primary and kind of separated. The Pesci will go down, but they're also going to lose one of their core DPS ships to do this. I'm very curious which way this is going to go. The Raven's still alive. Where are they going next? They're going for the Scorp Navy finally. Okay, they're going for the big ball.
Punch through that Scorp Navy as quickly as possible. It's their last remaining hope, I think. I mean, that thing, you can't out-track it. You can't get away from its guns, assuming it's cruise fitted. You need to just kill it to stop it applying. And they've still got 2 Nighthawks and 2 Ravens for the time being. They've got enough DPS to punch through the reps, but it needs to be critical. It needs to be clinical right now. It needs to just be as much damage as quick as possible.
Honestly,
that first Raven goes down, I'm not sure it's going to be enough.
Even if the Scorp Navy dies, they're in trouble because they had to chase down Orthrus's flycatchers with Scimitar support.
Yeah.
They're going to have real trouble doing that, even if they did kill this guy, which trying to kill a Scorp Navy through Scimitar reps is going to be a very tall ask, as they did lose like a big chunk of DPS in that first Raven.
And he's running, Melinda's running, he's saying, no, get away, Nighthawks. Where's the other Raven? I can't even see the other Raven.
He has been very effectively tackled down by the Skybreaker. I
Oh,
believe,
jeez, he's all the way over there. That's not good. That's not where he wants to be. He is useless
all
right
the
now.
way over there. Yeah, that Raven is now, because he brought Torps, he is out of this fight effectively. There's nothing he can do. So at this point, it is double Nighthawk versus this comp. I think the Nighthawks are also held down. Yeah, they're also held down by flycatchers, who they're going to struggle to apply to as well, with, again, Scimitar reps. They have just shut down this rush entirely using 3 or 4 ships now. That hurts.
Yeah, I think this is one of the weaknesses of these sort of short-range missile comps with Torp Ravens or the Ham Nighthawks, is if you don't have access to something that gives you application and target access like a Loki or a Hyena, etc., which are both banned this week, it can be very difficult to get on top of stuff. And I mean, I think that contributes to why we haven't seen Nighthawks before today.
This team has the same situation, the same problem that the last team did. You've got these great DPS ships that can't apply because you haven't brought application. Now, they did bring Jaguars as Sipples for tackle, but that's not really application. So they've kind of hit the same snag. Obviously, it wouldn't have mattered. They would have lost that support anyway. But here they are with massive DPS ships that are just stuck firing like noodles into the air, doing absolutely nothing. Just not looking good. They're trying. You see them trying their best on this flycatcher.
Yeah, they're trying to clear the
Just watch his shield, right?
I mean, I don't think they can win even after they do kill him.
It should just go up, watch his shield go whoop when the scimitar gets him.
Nope,
Or
he's
not.
got his
Or
armor.
not.
Just,
What? What? Wait, hold on. What?
but now something else is webbing him. Someone else has come in. The Skybreaker says, "All right, my turn.
I'm sorry, I didn't expect that.
I'm next on
I
the
honestly,
queue."
I honestly thought the scimitar could hold that. My bad. All
So,
right,
yeah,
well,
and then as soon as this Skybreaker goes down, the other one's going to come in and say, "Oh, tag me in.
my turn, coach. My turn.
Put me in, coach." But no, I think these two Nighthawks are going to die before that's really necessary, to be honest.
Yeah,
This
the
first
Nighthawks
one is
have
in
got
low armor.
webs at least. The Nighthawks have got webs, so they can actually somewhat apply these small stuff. But that Skybreaker's going to be pushing it for sure. As the first Nighthawk goes down, and the CEO's CEO is now stuck in the middle of the arena, being hounded in every direction by a bunch of ships he has trouble killing. Sorry, buddy. Nighthawks were not the call today.
To be honest, you should have stuck to the Stabber fleets. The Stabber fleets are really cool. I mean, they win, man. They got a winning track record. These Nighthawks, get this crap out of here. What the hell is a Nighthawk anyway? Stabber fleets, yes.
Like legitimately, honestly, it has the potential to work here, but I think they would have died like in seconds to Orthrus's. So while it would have been cool to see them bring it, they did kind of make the right call to not bring them.
Well, I feel like they brought this comp before, and I thought they sort of expected the sort of mirror matchup with this frigate application. This match is going to end. I'll make it quick. They brought the flycatchers. I feel like bringing a frigate logi comp into this kind of setup is risky. The Scalpels just et shit. The Spipples et shit. The Jaguars et shit as well. Bringing 6 frigates that are all going to die to the Orthrus application is a risky ploy.
Yeah, well, they have been absolutely cleaned up, and Odin's Call wins the first match, so we'll send it back to the studio.
Odin's Call beats literally triggered in the first of a best of 3, so there will be playing at least one, hopefully 2 more, because I always root for more matches, regardless of which team I would like to win or not. As a totally impartial person, I don't want either of them to win, unless they're winning in a way that gives us more things. We saw something kind of cool there. We saw Torp Ravens almost win, which is pretty cool. I'm going to put Wingnut on the spot for them. To be fair, I did warn him. He is a Torp addict, where I am much more of a fan of cruise missiles. So, Wingnut, for this specific instance, with the way that Odin's Call flew, do you think Cruise Ravens would have been better?
I don't think either would have really worked, but bringing Torp Ravens is not my call. I would have brought Torp damn near anything else. Ravens probably weren't the right option there. I don't know if Cruise would have done much better, because they would have to still have to punch through these like really tanky ships, and it's just not really going to work as far as I'm concerned. I think the problem they had was the support wing they brought. They brought nothing but just straight up tackle and no actual like support application. I feel like that was like, yes, you got your tackle. Congratulations, you killed half your comp to do it. They got tackle and killed a few things, but once the tackle was gone, they were done. They just fed it all and had nothing left.
Yeah, I do think that we saw, it was kind of interesting, because Odin's Call clearly was watching the stream and saw that we said that they were Torp Ravens, and using that information played correctly. I mean, it definitely wasn't that they're a good team and figured it out themselves, right? So
Really not.
they ran straight back with their entire fleet. And those Ravens, I think, you guys were making comments, we made comments in the little in between. They spent like over 2 minutes trying to get on top of their target. The Ravens weren't even screened. I think that's a good point to make. It wasn't that the Ravens got screened off. They just couldn't catch Sleipnirs in time.
And they also drove straight past the Scorp Navy to do so. I mean, yes, we said before, go for the big ship you can't kill. But they actually had enough DPS to kill it, and they decided, no, we're going to go for that Sleipnir instead. So they took the lesson to heart, but probably wasn't the right time to do it. They spent so much time chasing it.
Now, we did see that once the Ravens got in range, I think the Slepners lasted about 30 seconds each, maybe less, with full unharassed scimitar reps on them, which is pretty crazy. We were seeing torpedoes volley through the XLASB charges and then through part of their armor. So maybe it was a good idea. I actually I pulled it up. I have Raven, Torp, and Cruise fits for the Alliance tournament just because I was curious about them. With Scourge missiles, assuming they don't have range mods, which they probably don't, they get about 35-kilometer range. However, torpedoes are very slow and missile mechanics are weird, so effectively it's probably closer to about 25 km, which is really not that far, even in the grand scheme of being stuck in a 125-kilometer radius bubble. Obviously, a Cruise Raven can hit the entire map no matter what you do because they're super great ships, but time will tell if that was the thing, because we do have these guys going up against each other again, and we've seen a couple different weekends here where teams have picked, I would say, one of two different possibilities and strategies here. We see the I'm going to fly the same thing every single time strategy, and the I'm not going to fly the same thing every single time strategy. I know those are very, very intelligent and high-tier commentaries on my part, but what are we thinking? What do we see here? This is a best of 3. The bands don't change, so technically both teams can bring the same setup.
I would like to see Literally Triggered bring that again, but instead of Torp Ravens, they have Rapid Heavy Foons or something, and instead of Nighthawks, they have Heavy Missile Nighthawks. And then because the Authoresses are like, haha, we've got light missiles, we can kill your small wing, the Ravens and Nighthawks, or Typhoons and Nighthawks, are like, no, you, and just heavy missile them. I think that would be cool. I don't know if it'll be good, who knows, but I mean, it'd be funny. I like
I
it.
feel like Rapid Heavy would probably suffer in that because they've got a Scimitar plus Sleipnir resist, which make it really hard to punch through with Rapid Heavies before you run out of clip. But I would like to see them try for sure. That'd be
Yeah, I never
interesting to
said
see.
it would be good. I have no idea if it would work. They could always
Hey,
just fall
neither
back to
have I.
Stabber Fleet as well, tried and tested.
Yeah.
I do think
Raven's
we've seen
not a good Torp boat. Don't bring a Raven Torp setup. Typhoons,
Yeah,
Typhoon
what,
Fleets do better.
what about Scorpion Navy Torps? Just saying.
No.
Big
No,
yes,
too thick, too
yes,
slow.
big boy.
So
We did
Typhoon Fleet are the way to go, in my opinion.
True. We have seen exactly what you said, Baza, from Odin's Call before, is a heavy missile, rapid heavy missile setup with Nighthawks, which is completely open. And I think they did fantastically with it. They used it in the Chinese summer tournament, I believe, and did really, really well. So we do know that that is a comp that Odin's has sort of in the back line. Maybe we'll see that, but they also are up 1-0, which means they could pretty much do whatever they want and just see what happens at this point, right?
Yeah, it's pretty basic level, but being 1-0 up is obviously a good place to be. And having brought the same comp and being against an opponent who against an opponent who has brought the same comp for most of their matches and won, and then they switched it up and lost, and you're like, they need to win this next match. What are they going to do? Could they bring the comp that they keep winning with?
I know what I want to see.
It's curious.
I want to see the Odin's Call bring the Stabber Fleets. just
The matchup I'd be most interested that I could see here is Literally Triggered bringing their Armor Control Fleet Tempest / Stabber Fleet issue comp up against, say, an EOS-based drone team. Because that's a matchup where I'm not sure what team has the advantage, and it tells us a lot about the position that this Armor Control team is going to have in the meta, especially the 3-ban meta when it comes to the actual Alliance tournament. Because the drone composition seems very, very reliant on the EOS as its top-end ship. So that kind of matchup determines if you can ban out the drone comp with 1 ban, effectively.
I think it's pretty reliant on the Ishtar as well, but like you said, it depends, because obviously the Ishtar isn't really used in any other comps. It's like you're fielding Ishtars, you're fielding a drone comp, or you're not fielding a drone comp, you use something else. So
We have seen Vex and Navies used to good effect in the feeders, though. That's the thing.
If you can use the ban on the Ishtar and just prevent them bringing drones, that's pretty handy. But it depends if you actually want to ban drones. I mean, I remember from the feeders that Frat used drone comps both times to great effect. So I feel drone comps are sort of, for me, they're a little bit unknown in how strong exactly they are right now. They seem definitely reliant again on application from like a hyena or a rapier or something. I mean, we saw the one fail earlier, I think from, it was Cable's team, Ride My Turtle. But of course they had the Ishtar and the Vengeances kind of screwing up a little bit. But yeah, still sort of unsure on how strong drone comps are, so it'd be nice to get a meter reading of where they stand.
I feel like we've seen them win. Question in chat. Oh. Hey, do you want to know something super awkward, Bay? You had your mic muted. Oh. Okay, so what he said is... All right, do you want to do it over again? You totally can.
No, I mean,
no one heard you the first time apart from us. It's okay.
What I was trying to say was basically someone said in chat, how well do you think Odin's actually going to perform in the main tournament? Because obviously we've been discussing them a lot during Opens. They've been performing really well. They did really well in the summer tournament. But can they translate that to a really strong performance in the actual Alliance tournament? My take on that is I think they've got the ability to challenge for top 4, certainly top 8, and I think they should be able to challenge for top 4. But I don't know what you guys think about that.
I think their biggest enemy is the bracket, to be honest, because in their first match they've got a rival who are the Weekend Warriors guys who finished top 6. If they win that, they're then against Vidra. If they win that, they've got Off Sound Mind or Ride My Turtle. And if they win that, they've got the potential for either Fraternity or Hydra or a bunch of other teams in that bracket. So I'm not going to put them in the losers bracket and see all those potential matchups, but obviously the winners bracket is the easiest, the least resistance path to get a high placing, and their winners bracket route is not going to be easy. So I would say, I think top 12 is probably achievable and probably a finish they can be proud of. Top 8, top 4, a little bit more demanding of a task, because that would probably involve a long route through the losers bracket, which is always daunting and difficult.
Yeah, I'd agree. I'm putting them as a top 8. I think I put them when we did our sort of mildly infamous, extremely toxic tier list before the feeders. I put them as like the one team that I said, hey, these guys are actually pretty good, and then they were pretty good. I'd say top 8, maybe top 12, but at the end of the day, and I super hate to say this because it sort of detracts a little bit from it, but what your bracket is and where you get placed, I think has a significantly larger decision on whether or not you get top 4 than how good you are. Because we've seen several teams throughout the years who I'm not going to name because they always get mad when I do this, but who have gotten like top 6s and top 4s basically on coasting by beating up teams that really should not have been where they were. Whereas Odin's a very good team, and they're going to end up going against a lot of teams that are traditionally super good. Obviously, we don't know how good they actually are because it's been so many years. Like Hydra could be total garbage. Maybe they've all retired and some people just stole the Alliance name. So maybe Hydra's going to be like 40th place this year. We don't know.
I'm
traditionally they're really good.
There's a lot of teams we haven't seen for a long time, and I'm really excited to see how they're doing. I think they're actively avoiding Opens because they don't want to give away any intel. They don't even want people knowing the pilot lists. Teams
Dead Terrorists is in the 18.
Teams like the Tuskers. We haven't seen the Tuskers fly for ages. And I know Mira's back with them. He wasn't with them in the Anger game, so I think we haven't seen the Tuskers at their full potential for like a year. So it'd be interesting to see how well they do. And then you've got teams like Laserhawks, who I know have been training really, really hard. Who've got did they get top 3 finish a couple of years ago?
I think that was 80-15, 80-14 maybe.
Yeah, and I know they've been training really, really hard because I tried to get their team captain to come on and commentate for us, and he wasn't interested because he's like, no, I'm focused purely on doing as well as we can on AT. So there's a lot of teams which we've just got no intel on for like quite a long time. So it'd be quite exciting when it comes to the main tournament.
Yeah, just looking down the bracket, there's so many teams. Obviously, we didn't see a lot of them in the feeders because 24 teams just went straight into the tournament. But there's so many good teams, so it's pretty daunting, pretty much wherever you are in the bracket. But it's hard to say, oh yeah, this team's for sure going to get top 4 because there's just good teams everywhere you look.
Yeah, you can always consistently say, hey, I think these are top 8 teams, but top 4 is always like every year there's like 6 to 8 top 4 teams, if that makes sense in a weird math way. I'm sure someone's like, that's not how counting works. And I'm like, well, that's okay. We don't need to know how to count. But there's like 6 to 8 teams that you say, yeah, not only should place top 4. The problem is that if there's six to 8 teams that should place top 4, then, that is what it is, right? And I would say that I say Odin's is, I'd say they're maybe a top 8 team, but I don't think they're a top 8 team that should place top 4. I think they're a top 8 team that could place top 4. We've seen them play really, really well. And I mean, compared to all of the other classically top 4 teams, the Hydras, the Vidras, the Tuskers, the Templars, we know that Odin's is out here getting reps out. Obviously, those other teams are practicing with each other, but, there's a difference between practicing and like doing extremely high tier, very skilled, extremely important things like the Alliance Open practice.
Hell yeah. I must say, like, teams like Literally Triggered and Odin's, who I think both those guys have turned up 3 out of 4 opens so far. Like, they're getting a lot of actual in arena with an audience in a win, where winning and losing matters a little bit. They're getting a lot of experience under the belt, so I think they're definitely going to. Hopefully, they're going to take advantage of that when it comes to the main tournament.
Yeah, I see. We've kind of riled Twitch chat up, which is perfect.
Excellent.
I
What
love
are they
riling
saying?
them up.
I haven't been reading it.
Well, there's never anything of value in Twitch chat, but Sunkinator actually brought up a really good point, which it's something we try not to talk about it too much because sometimes people get really mad when you say it because they're like, that's not how it works. It's all skill. Well, the reality is that when you're doing best of ones, you can actually hard counter yourself completely. And it happens. Like, we saw, I think one of my favorite examples we saw, it was either last week or the week before, where a team brought an ECM setup with guns into a team that had drones and tracking disruptors. Did the guys that brought the drones and tracking disruptors know that the team that brought ECMs were going to be bringing, a gun ECM setup? Probably not. But they like double hard countered them. And there's basically no way you win that match unless you really, really outpilot them. And it's a best of 1. So it's like, okay, well, you lost. So I guess you're done now. That really, really sucks. Blind bans is rough. The way that the game works is rough, which is why we see so many like crazy setups that are getting tested. Like Torp Ravens might have worked really, really well if they had started at 0 and Odin's had rushed them.
I mean, yeah, I think that's true to a degree, sort of on a micro level. Like in this one match, we brought this, they brought, we brought 3 Hyperions and they brought 6 Armageddons. GG, we can't shoot our guns at all. But I mean, it's also sort of not a coincidence that pretty much every tournament you see fairly consistent teams finishing in the top 8. They're not getting lucky year in, year out. They are outplaying. They're getting a meta read. They're saying this comp is good against pretty much everything. This we can win with this comp. We can beat lesser teams. So yeah, there is the aspect of hard counters, but it's not be all end all, or else every match would be a coin flip, which it's obviously not. There are good teams and bad teams, so clearly it's not a 50-50.
I do. I'm just jumping in here. I've just brought up the current Open Series standings. I just like to point out that Odin's Call are currently sitting on 5 points, and Literally Triggered currently sitting on 4. So whichever team wins this little best of 3 will go top of the table there, just above Deep War Hooligans, which is pretty cool.
Very cool.
And I think everybody on the top, they won their weekend, right? Like I'm pretty sure Forsaken Empire won their weekend. Like they didn't just
the top 3
place 3 times.
Yeah, the top 3 teams are the winners of each weekend so far. Sure.
Yeah, which kind of brings up a good point because you see Volta won once, and then they I think they fed out in the feeders or in the first round in the last one, right? Just even though Volta's a top 4 team, I don't know if they're necessarily like they've traditionally been a top 4 team. Let's put it like that. which is just the way it can be. That's why we do best of ones, but we don't do a single elimination for the actual tournament. Like you lose one and then you're in the feeder or lower bracket, which sucks a lot because you have to play a lot of games, but also is awesome if you win every game because you get more skins. And let's be real, that's the real reason why we're all here is for the Iskies, right?
Exactly.
However, thankfully for our viewership, and I'm sure they're going to be very happy about this, the teams have entered local. They will be warping in soon. You won't have to hear our opinions anymore for at least about 10 to 15 minutes because we're going to be going to the second round of Odin's Call versus Literally Triggered. We'll do a quick round of predictions. I'm sitting here. I want to see some magic out of Literally Triggered. I'm hoping for them. I'm rooting for them, but I think Odin's is going to win. What do you guys think?
Odin's.
Wow.
Come on, Triggered.
Hell yeah.
Give us game
All
3.
right.
Let's do it.
Give us game 3. Please give us game 3.
Jintan is still mulling his decision over.
I'm going for the shutout. Let's go with Odin's Call. Let's see this. Let's see them close this out clinically. They've barely lost any ships this whole run. I want to see them take this one down nicely.
I'm definitely going to put my money on Literally Triggered. Not that you can bet on this, but if I could, then I would definitely put them on Literally Triggered because I can see what ships they've brought, and I know that they don't lose with these ships. So
cheater. It's cheating. Yeah, we're also why is the betting not up right now? We missed it. What the heck?
Wait, I think it might be
Well,
expired.
didn't get the bet. Damn it.
Oh, it probably expired. It was probably up for a while and then isn't anymore.
I was going to point out, by the way, guys, I've succeeded in every single bet today. I am a legend. Totally.
I've failed every single one of my bets today.
I've gone from 5k to 55k. Let's go.
I would make a bet, but I don't know how. How do I make a bet happen?
Yeah, you send me all your risk, and if you win, I'll send it back.
I'm a mod on the channel, but I
fair.
literally have no idea how to do it. So.
A mod needs to do it.
Well, you've
Someone else
missed
do
out
this.
on
Get
this
on it.
one.
Do it.
Well, I think we'll have to wait because the teams are actually here, and if you made a bet now, it'd be cheating because you know things. Just saying, just saying, guy. So we'll swap over to the thing, and Jin wanted us to try cast, apparently. So we're doing that.
Yeah.
It's gonna go
You
great.
three are doing that, yes.
Yeah, us are doing it.
Yeah.
Wingnut is just sitting here and observing.
Yes.
So
both teams bringing
awkward.
99
Yeah.
points.
They are. Both teams are bringing 99 points. I think this is the same setup that we saw Odin's run last time, and this is the same setup that we've seen Literally Triggered run every time before that. So we're getting the dream. We get to see the Literally Trigger run. Yeah.
They brought 2 stabber fleets. This is unexpected. No one could have foreseen this. They brought the comp that they keep winning with.
Maybe what they should have opened up with here. But I almost brought it up last time. I was going to say like, I wonder what would have happened if Odin's Call had brought this setup versus the setup that, or if Literally Triggered brought this setup versus Odin's Call. Well, I'm getting my wish, and now we get to see what happens. I'm a little worried about the Guardian here, weirdly enough, just because of how much speed Odin's Call has and all of their we've seen some light missiles and rockets and stuff just fry logistics and small ships earlier. Like they have plenty of application to take that thing down, depending on the screening. But Literally Triggered's been so good with their screening this entire day. So yeah, I'm not sure. It's Bay said that he knew who was going to win, but I think this is really up in the air still.
Yeah, this Literally Triggered comp seems to have been good when it has control on the field, when it can pin things down and get on top of it. But I mean, Orthrus's and Sleipnir's a little bit trickier to do that on. So I guess it'll come down to how effective the frigate piloting, the Pontifex that compares to the Vengeance, the Stabber fleets, of course, how effective they can try and get on top of stuff and serve them up to the Tempest fleets, or if the Sleipnirs and Orthrus's will be able to get away, and the Scimitar, of course, as well. The Scorpion Navy, he's just chilling, he's going to get caught. He's not fussed,
He doesn't really care. He hits the entire field. We are seeing Odin's Call actually burning kind of straight up and around, so I think they're going to try and go for a starburst and into the back lines here. A little bit of damage going out on that flycatcher already, not all that much. Literally Triggered does have pretty much entirely autocannons, so we're not going to see any people just getting surprise popped off, 90 km off. A little bit of damage on the Guardian too, so I don't know. They're just kind of jockeying into position, playing it slow, always good.
Yeah, assuming those are AC Sleipnirs at this range, they're not. Are they? I can't remember, to be honest. They fielded this before, didn't they? But I can't remember if they were AC.
Yeah, it's AC Sleipnirs.
Yeah.
Watch
and
the Orthrus of Yokan Otsoba here crawling around the side, just a little out of position, trying to pull the red team here, literally triggered apart, convince one of those Stabber Fleet issues to pull away from his Guardian to clear a route in for tackle. That's the kind of positioning that happens in the background of the AT that we don't often comment on, but it's what makes things like this so interesting. There, you can see Ragnar is finally burned in, and it looks like we have the start of the real fight here.
Yeah, with the Guardian on the field, the ranged reps and the Scimitar as well, it gives both these teams sort of a little bit more freedom to try and make moves happen. Obviously, if you're waiting for Deacons to catch up to you, you feel a lot more limited in where you can go in this kind of Stabber Fleet or sort of similar kind of tankiness ship. Whereas with the Guardian, you can go in, you can poke, you can try and sort of do some posturing. If it doesn't work out, you can possibly get out again, which Ragnar seems to have done.
He played really smart there, and he there was some webs out on both sides, but as soon as he was tackled, counter tackled the guy tackling him, and both sides are like, we should break off. We don't necessarily want to go for this. A little bit of damage coming out on the Vengeance right now. I think that's just the light missiles kind of hitting into it. But yeah,
he's right back out. He's fine.
I'm liking literally Triggered right here. They're staying really well together. Like they're not getting baited off, and I'm saying that a lot of damage is going out onto this Pontifex right here.
Yeah, the rep's going to land in time. Oh, come on, Parkbank, you can do it. Well, Parkbank, I believe in you, hero. Come on.
Low.
Oh, he's doing it, or is he? I don't know. Is it enough? He's got him. He's got him just about, but he won't survive another of those. He's 48% structure, so if that happens again, he's doomed.
Oh, that's
okay.
Never
that
a
puts
good
a little
thing.
bit of pressure on.
Yeah, I just really have to pull the Pontifex
again.
back. Mm-hmm.
Look at this, though. Reiferson is right in there in the back lines. He's managing to maneuver his Tempest Fleet issue right in on top of the Flycatcher of Ensing, and he might be able to catch the Scorpion Navy issue of Melinda here as well.
Yeah, Parkbank's having to work hard. He's let the Vengeance go. Yeah. But yeah, this Tempest Fleet's already in position. He's on top of the Flycatcher. He's the Scorpion Navy. He's got a Sleipnir in range as well. The Orthruses aren't too far away either. So yeah, this Tempest Fleet issue's in a dangerous position. He's sort of in the middle of the action. So it remains to be seen exactly what he can do from this kind of position. I think he's shooting the Flycatcher for the time being. The Flycatcher is catching reps though.
He is shooting at the Flycatcher, but he's got both Sleipnirs moving in on him right now. So I think they're going to... Oh, God, look at that damage. So much damage coming. Like, it's a Tempest Fleet. They're very, very tanky ships, relatively speaking, and just getting completely destroyed here. I don't know if those ranged reps from the Guardian are going to be enough to keep them up.
Oh, they've caught the Orthrus now. The Orthrus of Yokan. He's tackled down by the Stabber Fleet and the Sacrilege, and this Tempest Fleet of J.A. Aloysius is just burning straight towards him. Ryfason is trying to tank. Parkbank's got reps on him. He may have a local rep as well, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. But this Orthrus is absolutely melting as the Tempest Fleet arrives.
Yeah, Parkbank should be hitting about optimal rep range now, but it's not. I don't know. He's bleeding structure. He's holding on barely though. Like this Tempest Fleet survives.
There's so many
or two.
There's so many rep drones on the Guardian that need to be not on the Guardian. This Tempest Fleet issue's dying, boys. He's dying, and the rep drones are in the wrong place. There's so many heavy bots, so many medium bots. You need to put them on the Tempest Fleet. Rep drones are insane, and they're all in the wrong place.
Yeah, but look at that. He's catching. He's actually starting to come back a little bit here. Okay, he's going back down again. Maybe a couple heated reps. Look at that. He just got repped up for 30% of his armor in one go. So Guardian.
Look at this, though. Hoda Dainari is diving into the back line. He's going to be able to get tackle here on this Guardian. This is going to put the Eltrig team at a real disadvantage, potentially. They're going to trade DPS here for logistics.
Oh, the Stabber Fleets. No, he would have lived so much longer with those rep drones. There's so many rep drones on the Guardian just being irrelevant. They're not repping anything. Guys.
It's, I don't know.
What to say.
Trade this fleet. I mean, the Guardian's still doing okay. It's a little bit tackled, but they're doing some damage to it. I don't know. These Tempest Fleets are just not applying what they're not doing anywhere near as good as they've been doing for the past couple matches we've been seeing. This Guardian's eating shit right now, dropping super fast. And he's gone.
Yeah, and that Orthrus is tackled, but there's not much on him for the time being. It's the Sacrilege and the Stabber Fleet issue again, but that first fleet Tempest was elsewhere doing his thing, so he's not in position, effectively is what I'm trying to say. And he's in fact burning around not on top of the Orthrus, so he's not in optimal range. He's got transversal. Yeah, it's not ideal, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what they can do here. The Tempest Fleet's held down by the Scorpion at this point, so it's not going anywhere. Maybe if it loads up Barrage and tries to take the Orthrus down or something, like get a little bit more on the board. But yeah, this Tempest Fleet's taking damage from a Navy Scorpion and 2 Sleipnirs. That's about 3.5 thousand DPS, and that's really like you're just not going to live very long under that.
Yeah, it's really disappointing. Obviously for Literally Trigger here, they put up a valiant performance. They brought their win comp and aren't winning. But yeah, that rep drone situation is kind of a cardinal sin, to be honest. Rep drones are insanely powerful, which is why everyone brings them pretty much every match. And if they're just sitting on something that's full health, when you're literally your biggest DPS ship on the field is taking aggro, you need to take the 1 second it takes to press F on your rep drones, make them go over there instead, because they're just insane. They are insane. I can't put it into words. They're so strong, and if they're in the wrong place, it's a really big error.
You sound pretty triggered though.
I am literally triggered. Yeah, I am literally triggered by these rep drones being in the wrong place.
My question too is like, what were they doing with the Fleet Tempest? Like, I feel that they went in to go fight something and then got tackled, and one of them was trying to take down a flycatcher and not hitting it at all, and the other one was like, I don't really know what I'm doing, and they killed an Orthrus, which cool. They're not even that scary of ships in this setup.
Yeah, it seemed like he saw an opening, tried to go in for something, and it didn't work out because Park Bank had been pushed too far below the plane that they were all spreading out on. He was about 70 kilometers away during the start of that fight, and he wasn't able to get proper reps onto the Rifezon in the Tempest fleet until about 10-15 seconds later. Anyway, with that, let's head back to the studio and dissect it a bit more.
And that was the final match of the day, with Odin's Call going 2-0 versus Literally Triggered. The extremely powerful Stabber fleet issues have finally fallen, and unfortunately their reign of terror has ended, at least for this weekend. Pretty good match. Not going to talk too much about it, but I want to say real quick before we get into the craziness, super duper thank you to everybody who watched. Thank you for people who followed, especially thank you for people that are supporting the Hot Tub stream. You guys are fantastic. I'll talk a little bit about the match and then let everybody move off to go do whatever it is you guys do on Saturdays.
I'm not sure what I do on Saturdays because it's Sunday.
Well, in Upside Down Land, it is not Saturday.
This man's living in the future.
Exactly, man. Do you want the winning low numbers? Just send me your risk and I'll give you the numbers and then you can win this back. Okay? But yeah, I feel like that comp there, like the Stabber fleets do actually do really well, but they came up against the one thing they don't want to verse, which is stuff like Orthruses or Geelers. Because they are essentially great hunter-killers. You can bring your heavy comp to the middle of the fight, and then while the fight's happening over here somewhere, you're off murdering their support. You're killing a Logi ship. You're taking out tackle here or there. You're killing a flycatcher. Unfortunately, you can't do that when this Orthrus is ready for you. And that was the problem. I feel like that Tempest fleet was either going for an opportunity there, or was doing the same thing where he deliberately went into the brawl, expecting the Guardian to hold him. That way the enemy would focus on that, and that way the Stabber fleets could try something. But again, you can't really do it with Orthosis around, so I feel like they were kind of just when they put their comp on the grid, they were done, unfortunately. Oops.
Yeah, it was a good attempt. Unfortunately, it did not work. They tried so hard, but it did not quite happen the way that it was supposed to. It was a good try on Literally Triggered, though, and hey, we talked about it before, but bringing the same setup over and over means you're not showing your cool setup. So I don't know. Maybe they had the meta idea of taking second place just to stay cool, but it was good stuff in general. Bay, do you have anything exciting you want to say on the way out?
No, thank you very much for everyone who took part, everyone who watched, and we'll be back here the same time next week.
All right. And with that, we're going to send it off to somebody. But who? Stay tuned.